is clinically proven to shorten your cold by nearly half. Guaranteed.
So I think I got to get my roof repaired. You know anybody?
Yeah, actually I might.
Yeah, great. Can you do a free background check on them? Get me some additional quotes and book it for 2 weeks from now.
You can't expect your neighbors to do everything HomeAdvisor can. So to find and book a top-rated home pro for free, just ask HomeAdvisor.
Are you hiring great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates. Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
9:31 now here in New York. A successful and major operation, the fight to crush ISIS. News from the Pentagon now saying that it's killed more than 100 fighters in an airstrike. This is near the border between Syria and Iraq. Lucas Tomlinson live from the Pentagon for more on this, and seems significant. How big was this airstrike, Lucas?
Bill, it was one of the largest airstrikes against ISIS in the past year. The U.S. military estimating it killed roughly 150 ISIS fighters in eastern Syria in one of the last remaining pockets of ISIS territory along the Euphrates River near the border with Iraq. The massive airstrike occurred while the U.S. government was shut down Saturday, so technically the pilots did this for free. It followed more than a week of round-the-clock surveillance overhead by U.S.-backed fighters from the Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, on the ground. The U.S.-led coalition has launched nearly 30,000 airstrikes against ISIS since 2014. But in a sign of how much airstrikes have slowed in Iraq and Syria over the past few months, a squadron of A-10 attack jets was supposed to go to Turkey to strike ISIS. It was diverted to Afghanistan instead. Bill?
Interesting move there. More on that in a moment. This strike proves the fight against ISIS is far from over.
Well, that's what the head of U.S. Special Operations Forces in Iraq and Syria said in a statement, quote, "The fight to liberate Syria is far from over. Our SDF partners are still making daily progress and sacrifices, and together we are still finding, targeting, and killing ISIS terrorists intent on keeping their extremist hold in the region. But partnering with the Kurdish fighters against ISIS has come at a cost with NATO ally Turkey, who views the Kurds as a terrorist threat and has launched an assault in northwest Syria, home to Kurds allied with the U.S. Today, officials say the U.S.-backed force is majority Arab, which receives strong support from the CIA director.
In eastern Syria, the Department of Defense has done good work trying to bring the Sunnis in alongside our Kurdish partners there as well. I think they've made real progress there.
Defense Secretary Mattis says the roughly 2,000 U.S. troops on the ground in Syria aren't going anywhere until ISIS is defeated. Bill?
Big development there. Lucas Tomlinson, thank you from the Pentagon.
It was part of a package. It was the first thing the President and I talked about was finishing it by, as he said, Tuesday night. We're going to have to start on a new basis, and the wall offer is off the table.
The Senate's top Democrat slamming the door on a deal to fully fund President Trump's proposed border wall as fellow Democrats accuse him of caving into political pressure from Republicans. President Trump lashing out on Twitter saying, quote, "Crying Chuck Schumer fully understands, especially after his humiliating defeat, that if there is no wall, there is no DACA. We must have safety and security together with a strong military for our great people." Brad Blakeman is a former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush. Richard Fowler is a radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. I don't know, Brad, it doesn't look like Chuck Schumer's making anybody happy here. Democrats are upset. Republicans are upset.
Well, that shows the bad faith of Chuck Schumer. He just suffered a crushing defeat trying to bring the country to its knees, siding with illegals over Americans and our troops and sick kids. And now he has the hubris to come before the American public and say, the wall's off the table. Well, I got news for the senator. He's talking to a wall if he thinks he's going to get anywhere with his president and not having effective border security. The majority of Americans believe that comprehensive immigration is needed, but that includes, first and foremost, securing our borders.
Richard, do you believe that Democrats, particularly Chuck Schumer, do you believe that he's coming to a negotiating table and attempting to act in good faith?
I think Chuck Schumer is coming to the negotiating table, understand that he needs to get a deal for the 800,000 dreamers that are in this country, who came to this country at no fault of their own, some of them at the age of 2 or 3 that can't form criminal intent when their parents cross the border with them. And so I think because of that, that is why there is a possibility, or there is some leverage for the president to get Democrats to likely vote on a wall. We saw Chicago Congressman Gutierrez sort of say he'd be willing to compromise on the wall if that means saving these 600,000 to 800,000 dreamers who came to this country at no fault of their own. Now, here's the question for Chuck, or excuse me, Senator Schumer, is how he can sort of string this needle. How was he able to negotiate with the White House, at the same time making sure that he preserves and protects these dreamers? And that's going to be hard for him.
Well, the question is he getting anywhere with that? Is he helping or hurting those dreamers with how he is playing, playing this game? Brad, I want to bring you back in here because there's some confusion on what wall offer is he rescinding here? I mean, there's a big difference, as Mick Mulvaney was quick to point out, between authorization and appropriation.
That's right.
There was never an appropriation for the wall. It was an authorization to fund the wall, right? And not even fully so.
That's right. It was a hollow promise, and he thought he was going to pull the wool over the president's eyes. Doesn't he understand? The president understands how government works. The president has a legislative smart director who's worked on the Hill. He understands the difference between authorization and appropriation. Appropriation means the funds are there. They are going to be used for that purpose. He has no authority to make the kind of pledge he did to the president. So he did that in bad faith. So what is he really doing? He's signaling to the White House that everything's off the table and we have to start from scratch. That's ridiculous. Why don't you work on the successes you have and build on a deal and compromise that you know is going to get somewhere by the deadline?
Let's be very clear, Brad. I mean, first of all, in the Durbin Lindsey Graham deal, there was $1.8 billion for the first year of the wall. What Democrats are saying, and you know this because you've worked in government, is that you can't, there's never ever a time where there's a one-time payment for something. Obamacare was paid for over a number of years. And what Democrats are saying, exactly. That's my point. And so this wall is not going. There's never going to be a $20 billion appropriation for a 2,000 mile wall.
The point is that Chuck Schumer is saying the wall offer is off the table.
Right.
The White House is making the clarification that there was never actually any money offered up.
That's not true.
From Chuck Schumer for the wall.
In the Schumer-Graham deal, there was $1.8 billion for the initial funding for some type of wall or fencing.
I'm talking about Chuck Schumer's authorization for funding, not an appropriation. Here's Lindsey Graham, and I'll bring you both back here. He's laying this out very simply in response to Chuck Schumer. Listen.
If Senator Schumer takes something off the table, I'm sure we'll take something off the table.
And there you have it, Brad. What is he trying to tell us?
What the Republicans are saying is we're willing to build on the successes that we had during the negotiation. If you're going to blow up the deal and say we have to start from scratch, then we can never get a deal accomplished by the deadline set by this 3-week extension. So the Democrats clearly don't want a deal. They want to play politics with this. They want to obstruct the president, and I think they do it at their peril. If they didn't learn their lesson about the shutdown, then they'll never learn their lesson. And by the way, dealing with Chuck Schumer's like the kid who asked for more homework. Nobody likes that kid.
You know, Richard, the Republicans have been very clear. They want to work out a deal for these dreamers. They care about the DACA deal and a fix for DACA and those dreamers. Do Democrats want border security?
I think Democrats have always wanted border security. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. I think what Democrats are saying is, here's the truth. And Brad knows this because if you look at the shutdown vote, the people who voted against the CR, if you had put a clean DACA bill on the floor, there would have been enough votes for a clean DACA bill to pass the United States Senate today. Period.
But here's the difference, Richard.
Republicans refuse to put that bill on the floor because they know it will pass. Because 80% of Americans want a fix for these dreamers.
No,
Only the president.
We're not putting illegals above the interests of Americans. We have to deal with the budget first. We deal with the budget first that affects Americans, and we'll deal with DACA.
Richard, let Brad finish.
We are not going to put the interests of non-Americans who are here illegally above the interests of Americans. We deal with the budget. If you wanted to deal in good faith originally, you would have had a clean CR, something you guys have been crying about for years. We need a clean CR, and suddenly it doesn't need to be a clean CR. We have to add all this other extraneous legislation to it. So you guys are talking out of both sides of your mouth.
We've got to leave it there. And by the way, the crying nickname, leave that one for Chuck Schumer. That's the president's nickname for Senator Schumer at this point, isn't it? Just tweeting about that. All right, Richard, Brad, thank you. A spirited debate, 9:30 in the morning.
It was, yeah.
Right.
Richard slipped a little bit and got himself there. Good catch. Another big story we're watching right now this morning. The U.S. believes the Syrian government is now responsible for another chemical weapons attack against its own people. And Nikki Haley says Russia is complicit in this.
Russia is yet doing what it does best when it comes to chemical weapons. Russia is running from the facts. Russia has the audacity to lecture this Security Council about how to stop the use of chemical weapons.
So now, what will the Trump team do in response to this latest chemical attack reported? We'll take up that right after the break. Here.
Plus, that pair of FBI agents at the center of a stunning new allegation aimed at the FBI and the DOJ. What we are now learning about months of missing text messages and an anti-Trump secret society at the Bureau. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte has been investigating, and he will be here live with what he has found.
But I care a lot about the Department of Justice and the FBI, and it breaks my heart that we are having to have this conversation about two agents that only wanted to get the president. They didn't have any interest in clearing him.
This cybersecurity tip is brought to you by Experian. What are the most common pieces of personal information stolen and sold on the dark web? Find out the answers after this commercial message.
With 16 years in cybersecurity, I can tell you that criminals are scouring the dark web, trying to steal your identity and your personal information.
That's why Experian monitors the dark web globally and alerts you to suspicious activity, so you can act before a criminal can. Go to Experian.com/protect now to see if your personal information is on the dark web with a free one-time dark web scan.
Don't let them steal your identity on the dark web. Protect yourself with a company you can trust.
The most common pieces of personal information stolen and sold on the dark web include social security numbers, credit or debit cards, passports, medical records, and online payment login information. This cybersecurity tip is brought to you by Experian. Identity protection has a new identity. Log on to foxnews.com/cybersecurity to learn more ways to keep your information online safe.
COPD makes it hard to breathe. So to breathe better, I go with a Noro.
COPD tries to say go this way. I say I'll go my own way with a Noro.
Once daily Anoro contains two medicines called bronchodilators that work together to significantly improve lung function all day and all night. Anoro is not for asthma. It contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. The risk is unknown in COPD. Anoro won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, glaucoma, prostate, bladder, or urinary problems. These may worsen with Anoro. Call your doctor if you have worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain while taking Anoro.
Ask your doctor about Anoro.
Get your first prescription free at Anoro.com.
When I received the diagnosis, I knew at that exact moment, whatever it takes, wherever I have to go, I'm beating this. My main focus was to find a team of doctors that work together.
When a patient comes to CTCA, they're meeting a team of physicians that specialize in the management of cancer.
Breast cancer treatment is continuing to evolve, and I would say that CTCA is definitely on the cusp of those changes.
Patients can be overwhelmed. We really focus on taking the time with each individual patient so that they can choose the treatment appropriate for them.
The care that CTCA brings is the kind of care I've always wanted for my patients. Being able to spend time with them, have a whole team to look after them is fantastic.
I empower women with choices. And it's not just picking a surgeon, it's picking the care team and feeling secure where you are.
Surround yourself with a team of breast cancer experts at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Visit cancercenter.com/breast. Appointments available now.
A former USA gymnastics team doctor will soon learn his fate for sexually assaulting many gymnasts after days of emotional statements from more than 150 victims. Those statements going on now. A judge is set to sentence Larry Nassar later today for molesting patients under the guise of medical treatment. The 54-year-old pleaded guilty in November to 7 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. Nassar faces a minimum prison term of 25 to 40 years in prison.
Remarkable story that is. The U.S. now blaming Russia for a chemical weapons attack by Assad's Syria forces in Syria. A human rights group reporting at least 13 civilians were injured. The allegation is this: government forces using chlorine gas to bomb a rebel-held area near Damascus earlier in the week. At the UN, Nikki Haley calling out Moscow for this.
Russia is running from the facts. Russia has the audacity to lecture this Security Council about how to stop the use of chemical weapons. In the past year, Russia used its veto 3 times to kill the Joint Investigative Mechanism in Syria. Russia, all on its own, killed the mechanism we had specifically tasked to identify those responsible for using chemical weapons.
Yeah, so what now? Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz, former Green Beret commander for the U.S. Army, former counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, author of the book Warrior Diplomat. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning, Bill.
What has Russia done in the past when these allegations occur, and would you expect any change in its posture now?
No. Look, Russia is 100% complicit with the Assad regime. Russia could stop these attacks tomorrow if it wanted to. It has not only, as Nikki Haley pointed out, and Rex Tillerson as well yesterday, it has not only stopped the UN investigating body and vetoed it and shut it down, it's complicit with aiding and abetting the Syrian Air Force. So the question is now, what do we do about it? Do we take military action again? And then I think this just goes to show that there is no peaceful solution in Syria, in my view, with Assad still in power. He has been gassing and murdering his people now
and
for several years.
he has also been hanging on to that power. You mentioned the response.
With Russia's help.
President Trump bombed Syria last year, the last time this happened. Would you expect that to happen again, Michael?
I don't know that I expect it to happen again because we are just working with the Russians in so many areas, from North Korea to the supply routes into Afghanistan. I think we could see some type of additional sanctions. The French actually just started sanctioning a number of entities that are supplying the Assad chemical weapons program. But I think Haley and Tillerson are absolutely right to call Russia out on it and let the world know that this wouldn't be happening without their support of Assad.
I want to move further east to Afghanistan here, something you know all too well about. The A-10 Warthog has now been called to duty in Afghanistan. This is a low-flying, slow-flying, agile plane that usually, maybe 10, 15 years ago, specialized in taking out tanks on behalf of the enemy. Not a lot of tanks in Afghanistan. How do you use the A-10 now in this fight?
So the A-10 Warthog is one of my favorite planes. It has saved my life. I wouldn't be sitting here today without it. It has a very long loiter time, meaning it can stay over the battlefield for a long time. The Air Force has tried to kill it for a number of reasons, but folks, I think some smart folks on the Hill have kept it alive. What it's going to do is it's going to get ready for the Taliban spring offensive. We also have a number of advisors, an additional number of advisors going into Afghanistan to advise the Afghan army at a more tactical level. They won't be pulling triggers, but they'll be closer to the front. And we're going to mimic what we did with ISIS and what we did in the invasion of Afghanistan, which is to have our advisors with the Afghans doing the fighting and the U.S. Air Force in support. And importantly, General Nicholson, the commander there, is now going after the Taliban's pockets and how they're getting their money through the opium trade and taking out a lot of the drug labs that have been fueling the insurgency.
Well, we'll watch that
also with air support.
Yeah, the spring offensive is something we watch every year, and yet again, we're back there yet again.
That's right.
I introduced you with a rather long title. Is that title about to be longer, Michael? What's your future?
Yeah, Bill, I'm running for Congress. I've served this country my entire life, and it's time to step up and serve again. I'm running for Ron DeSantis' seat in Florida. I'm a Florida native, and I think between my time as a Green Beret, an advisor to Vice President Cheney, teeing up decisions to the president, and now as a businessman with several hundred employees, we could talk about these issues, but I've lived them, and it's time to serve. Bill, I think if we get more veterans in Congress, combat veterans in Congress, we would see a totally different atmosphere there.
Do you have an opponent yet?
I have two opponents, a local businessman and another gentleman that is saying he's going to self-fund. They are also veterans. I think we'd also all bring a lot to the table.
Interesting.
But this is about how I am not a career politician, and this is how we distinguish ourselves to serve the people.
This will be a race to watch then. Michael Waltz, thank you. A bit of news right there. Thank you and good luck to you. And
thanks, Bill.
We'll see what happens then. Thanks.
All righty. Thanks a lot.
A flurry of reports coming in on exactly who Robert Mueller has already interviewed inside the Trump administration. So could the special counsel probe be inching closer to an interview with the president himself? We will investigate.
Running a business is not for the faint of heart. Luckily, Office Depot Office Max is here to take care of you. Taking care of business. With print services. Done right, on time, guaranteed. Expert tech support. This week at Office Depot Office Max, save big on tax software for your business. Plus, let us help you manage your business finances at OfficeDepot.com/BizBox.
Taking care of business. I lost 25 pounds on Jenny Craig.
From a top diet 7 years straight comes the all-new Rapid Results by Jenny Craig. Lose up to 16 pounds in just 4 weeks with food you love. Eat 6 times a day with no prepping or cooking.
You have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner ready to go. It's all laid out for you.
So you can get on with your day and watch the pounds melt off.
Man up, give them a call.
Start Rapid Results for $16 plus the cost of food and get $70 in free food. Hurry, this offer won't last long.
Putting America first at Davos, how the president plans to push his agenda and why it could shake up the high-profile conference. Britt Hume has insight on the story tonight. Who can be a victim of identity theft? Anyone. You, me, even reality TV star and owner of the gold and silver pawn shop, Rick Harrison.
Identity thieves don't care who you are. They just want the money. My identity was stolen. I had over a dozen credit cards and accounts all across the country. I don't know how to fix identity theft.
Rick Harrison helps protect his identity with LifeLock.
Over a dozen accounts were opened in my name, and LifeLock helped fix things every time.
Credit card notifications and checking statements don't show you enough. Even if you monitor your credit, you can miss certain identity theft threats. LifeLock's proprietary network sees more, like your information being sold on the dark web. If there is a problem, our U.S.-based restoration agents dedicated to your case will work to fix it.
As a LifeLock member, I have a whole team of people who've got my back. If there's a problem, I got my guys.
When someone takes what's yours, you want it back. With LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package, if your money is taken or if you have expenses due to identity theft, LifeLock will either get it back for you or reimburse you for it up to the limit of your plan. Plus, we'll provide lawyers and experts if that's what it takes.
When I don't know enough about something, I call it an expert. When it comes to my identity, the expert I use is LifeLock.
Join today for as low as $9.99 per month and get 30 days free with promo code JOINNOW. LifeLock members get identity threat detection and alerts, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration agent assigned to your case, and you'll be covered by LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package. Start your membership today. Enroll in minutes.
It's sort of like having your big 400-pound bodyguard standing next to you. No. Deal with him.
LifeLock. Call 1-800-495-0973 or visit LifeLockSpecial.com. Use promo code JOINNOW to get 30 days free and a free shredder with annual membership. Call right now.
ISIS terrorists opening fire on a children's charity office in eastern Afghanistan, killing at least 3 people and wounding nearly 24 more. This just days after a Taliban attack on a hotel in Kabul that left multiple Americans dead. David Lee Miller following the story for us from Jerusalem. David?
Sandra, the attack at the Save the Children's office in the city of Jalalabad began with a car bombing, then multiple gunmen stormed the building. According to one report, they were wearing military uniforms and fired rocket-propelled grenades. After an 8-hour standoff, 2 security guards and a civilian and 2 attackers were dead. 26 people, including 4 police officers, were wounded. 40 people were rescued. ISIS, as you mentioned, is claiming responsibility. The group said it was specifically targeting, and I quote, British and Swedish foundations and Afghan government institutes. Save the Children released a statement saying it is temporarily suspending all programs in Afghanistan. It reads in part, our humanitarian work in Afghanistan reaches almost 1.4 million children. We remain committed to resuming our operations and life-saving work as quickly as possible, as soon as we can be assured that it is safe to do so. Save the Children has been doing aid work in Afghanistan for more than 4 decades. The attack this morning comes only days after a deadly assault by the Taliban at the Intercontinental Hotel in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. During that siege, more than 40 people died. The State Department says some of the victims were Americans. A published report this morning says that 4 of the victims were believed to be dual Afghan-American citizens. And Pakistani officials are now calling for what they describe as a credible investigation into this hotel bombing after some reports that the attackers may be linked to militants in Pakistan. Sandra?
David Lee Miller, thank you.
So there are stunning new claims from inside the FBI in a possible anti-Trump secret meeting. New details on one of its top officials, why he was hesitant to join Robert Mueller's team. Congressman Bob Goodlatte is in the middle of all this investigative stuff. So we'll talk to him live coming up just moments away. Don't go. Back on that right after this.
If you're like thousands of veterans who own a home, you may be thinking about refinancing to get money for your family. But you may not be thinking about a valuable VA benefit veterans like us have earned. The right to apply for a VA home loan for up to 100% of your home's value, not 80% like many other loans. That's an important difference because that can mean a lot more money for you and your family. Money for retirement, unexpected medical bills, home improvements, or just to put in the bank. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, get cash, and lower your payments an average of $640 a month. And New Day will even pay for your appraisal. Take advantage of the VA home loan benefit many vets don't even know about. Call New Day USA right now because no one works harder to help veterans get the financial security we deserve.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-341-1583.
Looks like you're not sleeping well.
Yeah. How did you know? Hey, Megan!
What? Hey, you're that guy.
The My Pillow guy.
That's right, and I'm here to help you get the best sleep of your lives. Oh, you have a down pillow. Here's the problem with down pillows. You lay there, you feel comfortable, and guess what? It goes down, and you got one bent neck. So this pillow's no good, and I see you sleeping on memory foam.
Right.
Well, I'll show you what's wrong with that idea.
Okay.
Sleep's all about too high or too low, and I'm going to show you where your comfort level would be.
So, you know, that feels better.
Right, that's better, but I'm not going to sit and hold this all day. So every morning you're getting up like, you know, it's not good. Just like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and none of them worked. That's why I invented My Pillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck aligned. My Pillow will hold its shape all night long, regardless of your sleep position, for the best sleep of your life.
It feels great to wake up in the morning and feel well rested. It's shocking to me that a pillow could make this big of a difference in my life.
I make all my pillows in my home state of Minnesota, and I back them with my 60-day money-back guarantee. My Pillow has a 10-year warranty, and it's machine washable and dryable. Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and My Pillow is one of the most important things to your sleep.
Call or go online to order My Pillow Premium, and Mike will give you a second pillow absolutely free. Use the promo code on your screen to get 2 My Pillows for the price of 1.
Hurry! Offer ends February 1st.
You're sleeping better.
Much better.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Explosive new claims of an anti-Trump secret society within the FBI, along with evidence of bias at the Justice Department, raising new alarms on Capitol Hill. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith. Good morning to you, Bill.
Keeping up. Nice to see you. Good morning. I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning to you at home as well. Many top Republicans now expressing deep reservations about what was happening at the heart of this great American institution, the FBI, pointing to so-called deep state efforts within the government to resist and undermine the president, apparently getting underway within 24 hours of his election. The evidence uncovered in text messages between leading FBI officials who worked on Robert Mueller's Russia matter. Senator Ron Johnson just confirming last hour here in America's newsroom, at least one informant revealing high-level officials at the FBI were meeting at these off-site, out-of-public meetings.
I have heard, from somebody that has talked to our committee that there is a group of individuals within the FBI that were holding secret off-site meetings. Again, it's Strzok and Page calling it a certain term. I'm just saying off-site meetings.
Fox team coverage for you. Kevin Corke with reaction at the White House. But first, Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill for us this morning. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning,
what
Sandra.
more are people there saying about these latest revelations?
Well, Sandra, some lawmakers are concluding that there most definitely was an institutional bias by some at the FBI against candidate and then President Trump.
These are the elements of a palace coup that was underway to disrupt President Trump both before and after his election, and I suspect that there will be multiple inquiries. It's important to note, Martha, that over 20 members of the Judiciary Committee sent Attorney General Sessions a demand for a second special counsel to look into these claims.
The Senate Democratic leader suggests this is all a distraction from the Robert Mueller Russia probe.
Mueller has to be allowed to do his job. I have faith in him. As long as he goes forward, everyone will abide by where he comes down. But he shouldn't be thwarted in any way, and the diversion that they're trying to do, both with Mueller and with others, is not good for the country.
An informant saying there were high-level off-site meetings is sounding an alarm with many here on Capitol Hill. Sandra?
Mike, what is the latest on this memo about the actions of some at the FBI?
We expect the House Intelligence Committee to vote in the next couple of weeks to make this 4-page classified memo public. I asked House Oversight Chairman Trey Gowdy about it.
People are going to be troubled, but what you won't hear me do is talk about prison and people going to jail. That's part of what we don't want. We don't want people making decisions based on a 4-page memo when there are thousands of documents. But so you have to balance. The public won't ever be given access to the thousands of pages.
FBI spokesman Andrew Ames tells Fox, quote, the FBI has requested to receive a copy of the memo in order to evaluate the information and take appropriate steps, if necessary. To date, the request has been declined. Some prominent lawmakers are concluding there was improper activity among some at the FBI. Sandra?
Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill for us. Thank you.
So meanwhile, the White House wanting answers to all of this as well. You can imagine White House correspondent Kevin Corke starting his day live from the North Lawn now with more from there. Kevin, good day to you.
Hey, good day, Bill. This is a classic example of sometimes the nuance of language is lost when you tweet or when you text something, because as anyone would tell you, sometimes what you write doesn't quite land the way it would if you said it. And what I'm talking about is this idea that the president is blaming Samsung for the lost text between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Let me take you to Twitter. Here's what he wrote. Where are the 50,000 important text messages between FBI lovers Lisa Page and Peter Strzok? Blaming Samsung. Now, some took that last line, blaming Samsung, to mean that the president was blaming the phone maker. But a more nuanced look at what he wrote might lead you to believe he was simply pointing out the fact that the FBI is saying, well, it's Samsung's fault that there are all these missing text messages between the agents. Of course, Peter Strzok, the main one, and Lisa Page, his mistress and bureau attorney. Now, the bureau also says somehow during a crucial period, all these text messages went missing. Some have even suggested here at the White House it's almost laughable were it not so serious and frightening. Now, the White House does, however, Bill, remain confident that those messages will be found, and the same can be said by the leaders of the Department of Justice.
We're going to use every option available
to find the text messages through other forms, whether it's the old phones, whether it's going to some of these technology companies that were involved and seeing if they have them. The Attorney General said we'll leave no stone unturned trying to find the text messages, and obviously we are reviewing immediately how they didn't get into the server in the first place.
So many questions there. Now, all this, of course, is playing out as the White House is considering under what conditions to make the president available to the special counsel for an interview that could, by the way, include a questionnaire, a sit-down, or even both. Now, we do have a briefing today, Bill, at 2 p.m. We imagine we'll probably be talking a lot more about missing text messages. All this is happening just ahead of the president's trip to Davos. Of course, that's coming up tonight. We'll have all the details for you as well. But for now, back to you.
Good deal. Kevin, thanks. Long day there. Kevin Cork starting there at the White House. Thanks.
For more on all of this, Steve Hayes is editor-in-chief of the Weekly Standard and a Fox News contributor. Stephen, thank you for joining us this morning.
Sandra.
So now we know that this Mueller investigation is progressing into some of the highest-ranking officials inside of the Trump administration, including Jeff Sessions. What does this tell you overall about the Mueller investigation and where it's heading?
Well, look, the first thing to be said about all this is it's hard to know exactly what's happening with the Mueller investigation because we're only seeing snatches of it in the public domain. Having said that, it's pretty clear that Robert Mueller is interested in at least questioning people about a possible obstruction of justice charge. You can see that would be why he'd want to talk to Jeff Sessions, to James Comey, and to others. He's also reportedly talking to people about Russian financial misdealings that predate President Trump's, or then candidate Trump's, run for office. He's very interested in Jared Kushner and his business dealings, both before the campaign and I think after the election of Donald Trump. So he's doing a good number of different things, casting a wide net, I think, at this point. And we will learn more, I think, in the coming weeks.
So we now know after the fact that Jeff Sessions was sat down with the Robert Mueller team for several hours. I suppose it's a possibility that other high-ranking officials inside of the president's circle have already sat down with him as well that we may learn about in coming days.
Right, I think that's right. I mean, we've heard about people sort of gradually, these stories trickle out about people that Robert Mueller has interviewed or his investigators have interviewed. Sometimes we don't hear about it for weeks or even months after they've conducted these interviews. So I think there's no doubt that we'll hear that virtually everybody who's been discussed in the news reports about this investigation and about these allegations against the president and his team will have been interviewed.
Meantime, the big question is the president next? Will the president be asked to sit down and ask questions of Robert Mueller?
Right, and mixed messages from the White House and the president's team about that, with some people saying that he would gladly sit down and he has nothing to hide, so he's happy to talk to Robert Mueller, and of course others expressing much more caution, suggesting that the president could really get himself in trouble by talking to Bob Mueller, even if he has nothing to hide, because he's been known to sort of serially exaggerate his claims or say things that later turn out not to be true. So,
you know, at this point, James Comey could also be on the line. We know that Mueller already sat down. We're told it was a shorter session, sitting down talking to James Comey. But I want you to watch this exchange dating back to 2016 with James Comey and the things he said then, which is why we might assume that Robert Mueller would want to and need to sit James Comey, the former FBI director, back down now. Watch this.
Director, did you make the decision not to recommend criminal charges relating to classified information before or after Hillary Clinton was interviewed by the FBI on July the 2nd?
After. But if colleagues of ours believe I am lying about when I made this decision, please urge them to contact me privately so we can have a conversation about this. All I can do is tell you again, the decision was made after that because I didn't know what was going to happen in that interview. She maybe lied during the interview in a way we could prove.
So obviously he would want to sit the president down to ask about pushing James Comey out of his role, but wouldn't he also want to sit James Comey back down and ask him about things we now know in the order of events, particularly the exoneration letter written before the interview with Hillary Clinton even took place?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are many aspects of James Comey's testimony that need to be investigated further, including that exchange with John Ratcliffe that you just played. I mean, James Comey was suggesting there that the decision wasn't made until after the interview, but we now know that there was this memo from May, 2 months earlier, making a recommendation to exonerate Hillary Clinton. We know that he didn't investigate her for a couple months after that memo was drafted. We know that he didn't investigate, the FBI didn't investigate numerous other people until after that memo was drafted. We have in the most recent texts that were released between these two FBI agents who were having an affair that they thought that it was improper that Loretta Lynch would have declared publicly that she was going to follow the guidance of the FBI when she knew what the FBI's decision was in advance. There are so many questions about possible impropriety, I think, with that investigation that it absolutely deserves further investigation. I do think James Comey should be asked about it. He shouldn't, by the way, if FBI agents or staff have questions about what James Comey said and whether he was telling the truth, they shouldn't answer those questions or direct those questions to him privately. I think it's worth having a public discussion about that.
Yeah, fair enough. And more on this with Chairman Bob Goodlatte coming on with us in just a few moments. Stephen Hayes, thanks for coming on this morning. Good to see you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Also, much more on all this in a moment. What it signals for the Mueller investigation. Alan Dershowitz joins us a bit later this hour, so stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, President Trump sparring with Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat, saying his offer on border security has now been pulled. Question, was there ever a deal in the first place? Our panel takes that up this hour.
And newly released text messages between those two FBI officials. One of them apparently thought there was no there there. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte has been investigating all of this, and he joins us next.
It could be truly a technical glitch, but it's suspicious. Are they aggressively going to recover those from other sources, from the carriers potentially? We need to find out exactly what the Office of Inspector General, what their investigation is looking like, what the Department of Justice is doing, how seriously the FBI is taking this within their own ranks.
When our country used to flex its muscle with battleships like the USS Iowa, the world would listen. It's time we return to the America I remember. Hi, I'm William Devane. There are dangerous forces everywhere pulling our country apart, threatening our economy and our way of life. That's why I'm going to do two things: support our military and buy gold from Roslyn Capital. I've never felt safe relying on paper money to protect my assets. That's why I buy gold from Roslyn. With Roslyn, what you order is what you get. No gimmicks, no nonsense, no hassle. We're all safer with our ships patrolling the seas. And my assets are a whole lot safer with gold from Roslyn Capital. So ask yourself, are you safe?
Call now to get your free gold, silver, and IRA kits. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900.
Everybody has sunglasses, but most sunglasses just make everything darker and are useless when it comes to blinding glare. Not these. Nick Bolton here with the latest from Bell & Howell. We call them tack glasses. Inspired by the sunglasses worn by our heroes in uniform, tack glasses can do things no ordinary sunglasses can do, like block blinding glare so well, invisible objects suddenly become visible. Enhance colors to give you vision as sharp as an eagle's, and survive even the harshest conditions. Look, ordinary sunglasses just make things darker, which could be deadly in a tactical situation. Tack glasses improve optical clarity so you can see clearly, even in low light. If you've never seen how this light filtering technology works, check this out. Nothing to see, right? But look again as we hold up our tack glasses. A colorful American eagle is revealed. Amazing.
Take a look at the screen.
Yes.
What do you see?
I see a plain white screen.
It's just a plain white screen. Now look up through our sunglasses.
Whoa, this is cool. How does it do that? That is so awesome. What? Oh my.
Whoa, what? That is so cool. That is amazing. How does it do that? It's like an eagle pops out of nowhere.
Very, very cool.
Whether you're on the trail or on the golf course, on the water or on the slopes, with tack glasses, you'll always see clearly without any glare. There's just nothing like it on the market today.
Act now to get your tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. Plus, every pair of tack glasses comes with our Bell & Howell lifetime guarantee. But wait, order today and we'll also include a blank card that reveals our American Eagle when you put on your tack glasses. So don't delay. Order yours today.
To order, call 1-800-594-8441. Again, that's 1-800-594-8441, or order online at trytackglasses.com.
Wayfair, you got just what I need. It's the feeling of done and done. It's so much fun. Easy as a click, and done comes quick. It can even look crazy. That's fun and done, baby. Get a deal done, or fancy looks fun. Just kick back, relax, with Wayfair, you're done. You know the feeling, yeah, that's the one. It's the feeling of done and done. It's so much fun.
Bring home the feeling at Wayfair.com.
Republicans are ramping up investigations into the FBI after text messages between two former members of the Mueller team allegedly showed the two talking about an anti-Trump secret society within the Bureau. Here's how Congressman Trey Gowdy characterized it for us yesterday.
It's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right. That is a level of bias that is stunning among law enforcement officers.
Virginia Congressman Bob Goodlatte is chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. He joins us now. Chairman, great to have you on the program this morning. This is an unbelievable story to follow. The ins and outs are almost hard to believe. And right now, knowing that there are 5 months of text messages between two high-ranking officials inside the FBI have just gone missing, that's almost hard to believe.
It's impossible to believe. It is not a coincidence. The fact of the matter is these messages run from about the time that the Russia-Trump investigation started at the FBI and run to the day before Special Independent Counsel Mueller was appointed. There's no coincidence there. These messages must be found. I'm pleased that the Attorney General has taken a strong commitment to find them. We need to also do that and look at other places where they might exist, but this is a serious issue. But the texts that have been produced are very concerning as well, because they indicate a concerted effort, not just talk between two people, but a concerted effort to do things within the department that cast a shadow on the most important law enforcement organization in the world, that every day tens of thousands of great men and women protect us, investigate crimes, prevent terrorist attacks. This is a very important organization, and it should not be besmirched by the work of a few people at the top of this organization. So it needs to be investigated further.
Of those text messages that we do know about that have recently been found, one discovery that Peter Strzok, he was questioning, he was clearly showing hesitancy about even joining the Mueller team because of, quote, a gut sense that he had that there would be no big there. We know he had discussions about a, quote, secret society, an insurance policy against President Trump's election. By the way, is he still employed with the FBI?
He is employed with the FBI in their personnel department. That is a very bizarre thing to me. Again, I think we need to see leadership at the top of the FBI to start cleaning house there. This is a serious problem. But, you know, when you say there's no there, and that's a reason not to participate in the investigation, that's a clear indication that he cannot be impartial in that process, because it's only worth him doing it if there is something there. So that, coupled with all of his involvement on the other side with regard to the Clinton investigation, writing and changing the statement of the FBI director, and of course his communications with Ms. Page about that in earlier texts that we've seen, raises the public's concern that you have two very, very different standards of treatment of two very, very important people in this country.
Do you believe that there was criminal misconduct within the FBI, Chairman? Sorry to speak over you, but do you believe...
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. There needs to be further investigation of this. I and others have seen many of those thousands of pages that are classified and can't be made public, but there is need for further investigation on this. We're certainly going to continue that in the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight and Government Reform Committee that Trey Gowdy chairs, and we will be both interviewing many witnesses privately, but also, as was mentioned in the last segment, we will be calling people for public hearings as well. We just have to make sure that sources and methods of intelligence gathering are protected. We don't want anybody harmed. We don't want our intelligence gathering of people overseas, for example, compromised. And this is classified material. It has to be treated sensitively. That's why the Intelligence Committee is working on a 4-page memo where they're taking care to make sure there is nothing in that would reveal sources or methods. But this is very, very important. It goes to the leadership of our country and whether elections are conducted fairly and whether investigations are conducted fairly.
And I know the American people are watching this, and they wonder, you know, is this the FBI we all want to know that it is, or is the integrity of the entire institution being called into question at this point? I would ask you, Mr. Chairman, as you join us this morning, you are the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. You oversee the DOJ and the FBI. What is the current relationship between your committee and these two institutions?
I think we have a professional working relationship, and again, this does not call into question the entire Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's a very important organization with many, many, many dedicated people in it. But these are serious issues, and I will say this, compared to the Obama administration, when we've been requesting documents, and many of them, as I say, are classified, so we have to examine them in a classified setting, in a SCIF, a secure location. We're getting those. Maybe not always as quickly as we'd like, or everything we'd like, and the 5 months of text is a good example of that. But they are working with us, and
it sounds like you're digging deeper.
But there's much, much more that needs to be done.
A lot more, and I know the president's been tweeting about it this morning, and he's blaming Samsung because, of course, this is being blamed by the FBI on technology and a lapse there. There's a lot of questions. Clearly, you are on it, and you're working with the Attorney General. And Mr. Chairman, we thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks, Sandra.
In a moment here, new developments now in the case against the parents of those 13 children. That couple accused of starving and shackling and beating their children for years. Details that are deeply disturbing. Also, the wall has hit a brick wall. Next.
The odds are staggering. The plan is daring. Initiate. Now, Gary Oldman is an Academy Award nominee for Best Actor, and Darkest Hour is an Academy Award nominee for Best Picture of the Year.
We shall never surrender!
Darkest Hour, rated PG-13.
With the Home Advisor app, it's easy and free to find home pros for any project. From a simple repair to a major remodel. Tell them what you need and get connected to top-rated local pros. Start your next project with Home Advisor.
I lost 50 pounds on Jenny Craig, and you can too.
Introducing Rapid Results by Jenny Craig. Lose up to 16 pounds in just 4 weeks. Pasta, pizza, burgers. You get to eat really good food 6 times a day, and you don't even have to cook. The program includes a personal weight loss expert who understands men. None of that group meeting stuff.
This is the best program for a busy guy.
Start Rapid Results for $16, plus the cost of food, and get $70 in free food. Hurry, this offer won't last long.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans. It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, not just 80%. And that can mean a lot more money for you and your family. With our military service, veterans like us have earned a valuable VA benefit, the right to apply for a VA home loan. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, put cash in the bank, and lower your payments an average of $640 a month. And New Day will even pay for your appraisal. That could save you up to $500 or more. So call New Day USA. They look at your whole financial picture, not just your credit score. And they'll do everything they possibly can to get you approved. Call them today.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-367-1581.
Tonight, knocking holes in the wall. Schumer pulls his offer for funding. How should the president push back? Cory Gardner has Trump's next steps on Fox News at Night.
I'm Dr. Joseph Cranen, a sleep apnea specialist. If you're using a CPAP machine, you could develop a respiratory illness if it's not cleaned properly. That's why I strongly recommend SoClean. SoClean quickly, easily, and effectively kills 99.9% of CPAP germs and bacteria without any harsh chemicals and works on all popular CPAPs.
I don't have to pour products into the SoClean in order for it to do its job. It's incredibly simple to use.
In the morning, I wake up, I take the hose, the mask, plop it into the machine, close the lid, and I'm done.
Try the world's first automated CPAP sanitizer, risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-837-8513.
SoClean gives me the peace of mind in knowing that I'm breathing sanitized air from my CPAP at night.
I don't have to worry about anything growing in the reservoir, the mask, nothing. It's all clean, it's all dry, it's all fresh.
Call now to try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-837-8513 or visit trysoclean.com.
25 past now. Fox News alert: the California parents accused of torturing and starving their children are back in court today. Prosecutors seeking to block the couple from reaching out to the children until the case goes to trial. This is a mess. William Longinus live in L.A. with more on this today. And William, good morning there. What can we say?
Well, Bill, prosecutors don't want David and Louise Turpin to reconnect with their children so they could influence their testimony at trial. So the DA today will ask the judge for a protective order barring the parents from connecting with the kids in any way. We're also now learning how isolated they really were. Investigators say the kids never heard of medicine, could only shower once a year, never saw a dentist, and saw a doctor only once in 4 years. So now the DA may choose not to put the kids on the stand for their sake, but he says their diaries speak for themselves.
I think that what's in the journals will be significant evidence. I mean, when you have to step back for a second and think how rare it is to have evidence directly of what a victim in a case like this went through.
So currently the adult children are in a group home. The younger ones are in foster care, but several couples have agreed to take in the entire family, so they are not broken up. That's down the road.
This family lived in Texas before California, right? So is it accurate to say not only were the kids abused at home, but possibly at school as well?
Well, what we mean by abuse, as we all know, elementary school can be a pretty cruel place. So 2 classmates from years ago have said on social media because the oldest girl wore dirty, ill-fitting clothes and smelled, she was bullied and teased. I'm going to go to the full screen. She was a frail girl, had pin straight hair with bangs, and often wore the same purple outfit, said one of these ex-classmates. Yet she was still one of the most pleasant people I had the opportunity to meet. She had this whimsical optimism that couldn't be dampened, could not be doused, no matter what anyone threw at her. Well, today the prosecutor says of the children,
they're doing well, they're relieved, they're being well fed, and they're being well cared for. So beyond that, I don't know honestly.
The parents face up to 94 years, Bill, if convicted.
William Longinus followed that story. We'll see them in court today. Thank you, sir. From L.A., 27 past now.
New reports that special counsel Robert Mueller has now interviewed some of President Trump's closest advisors. So could the president be next? Alan Dershowitz is here on that.
Also, a brave U.S. Marshal killed in the line of duty and leaving behind a wife and 2 young children. Now a pledge to care for his family by a group dedicated to helping so many Americans of our very special fallen heroes.
If your husband or your wife go out and protect our streets and our neighborhoods and our country, that if something happens to them, that we as Americans are going to take care of the family left behind.
The world's largest investment bank purchased $300 million of gold for their own account. What do they know that you don't? Investors are snapping up gold. This commodity is on the verge of an epic comeback. Gold and silver, opportunity of a lifetime.
You're seeing a lot of very big, very smart money move into precious metals. They get it. They know what's coming.
Call now and get this exclusive video. See why banks, billionaires, and financial experts are buying gold.
The richest guys who know what they're talking about, like Dalio and those guys, they're shifting into gold now.
Call Lear Capital at 1-800-452-5050 for your free video and special report, Banks, Billionaires, and Plan B. First-time callers receive this 1-gram gold-plated bar free.
Everybody should have gold in their portfolio.
Get your free information and ask how you can receive up to $600 in free gold. Call 1-800-452-5050. 1-800-452-5050. Call now.
Let's take a look at some numbers. 4 out of 5 people who have a stroke, their first symptom is a stroke. 80% of all strokes and heart disease, preventable. And $149 is all it takes to get screened and help take control of your health. We're Lifeline Screening. And if you're over 50, call this number to schedule an appointment for 5 painless screenings that go beyond regular checkups. We use ultrasound technology to literally look inside your arteries for plaque, which builds up as you age and increases your risk for stroke and cardiovascular disease. And by getting them through this package, you're saving over 50%. So call today and consider these numbers. For just $149, you'll receive 5 screenings that could reveal what your body isn't telling you.
And I'm going to tell you that's the best $150 I've ever spent in my life.
Lifeline Screening. The power of prevention. Call now to learn more.
Do you have a life insurance policy you no longer need or can't afford? Now you can sell your policy for an immediate payment.
We bought life insurance when our kids were young, to protect their future.
Our youngest just turned 40, and we no longer needed the coverage.
That got us to thinking about letting our policy go. So I did some research and called Coventry Direct. I learned that you could sell all or part of a life insurance policy, even a term life policy. Turns out, people have been selling policies like ours for the past 15 years. Who knew? We sold our policy. Now we have money to help with the medical bills.
And to add to our retirement.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may be a candidate to sell your policy. Call 1-800-471-6800 or visit CoventryDirect.com for a free information packet. 1-800-471-6800. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance.
Several new reports on the Russia investigation indicating the special counsel may be getting closer and closer to wanting an interview with President Trump. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is live in Washington. Catherine, what can you tell us about interviews that have already taken place?
Well, thank you, Sandra. Good morning. Fox News has confirmed the former FBI Director James Comey was interviewed by Special Counsel Robert Mueller last year, but the memos he wrote documenting his conversations with the president. As you recall, Comey testified in a public forum that he leaked those memos to kickstart the special counsel case. Since his replacement FBI Director Christopher Wray has confirmed the memos are government property and they were not Comey's personal memos to provide. In the meantime, Fox News is working to independently confirm that senior intelligence officials, including the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, who oversees the 17 intelligence agencies, CIA Director Mike Pompeo, and Admiral Mike Rogers, who heads the National Security Agency, have all spoken to Mueller, but the interviews are described as cursory and not central to the probe. The White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders has consistently maintained, as she did yesterday, the same position on the interviews.
As we've said probably just about every day this year since we've been here, that we're going to be fully cooperative with the special counsel, and we're going to continue to do that throughout the process. But we're also not going to comment on who may or may not or could be interviewed.
Those close to the president note that the same senior intelligence officials were present at Trump Tower when then FBI Director James Comey first briefed the president-elect about the Trump dossier and its unverified claims. That dossier, of course, is a central line of questioning for the special counsel team, Sandra.
And, Catherine, the White House is downplaying the Sessions interview?
Well, speaking to reporters in the Oval yesterday, President Trump said the White House had no advance notice of Attorney General Jeff Sessions' special counsel interview last week.
No, I didn't, but I'm not at all concerned. He did not even a little bit. Nope. And he's going to do a good job.
The he there is a reference to the current FBI Director Christopher Wray. The president denied media reports that Wray threatened to quit after pressure to remove his deputy, Andrew McCabe, a longtime lieutenant of the fired FBI Director James Comey. Senior administration official tells Fox this morning that they are disputing an account in the Washington Post that President Trump asked McCabe who he voted for during the election. And the official said the president did make a joking reference to McCabe's wife, Jill, who received more than $700,000 for a state Senate race from Democrats, including this longtime Clinton ally, but it was not meant to unbraid McCabe as it was reported in the Post. Sandra.
Thank you for your reporting, Catherine Herridge.
You're welcome.
For more on this now, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz back with us today, and great to have you here, sir, and good morning to you in your secret, private, undisclosed location. Ron Johnson, the Republican senator from Wisconsin, last hour here, suggesting that there were more than just two agents involved in these offside meetings. Here's how the exchange went. I'll ask you a specific question after this. Watch. Were there more involved within the agency?
I think there's indications there were a number of high-level FBI officials that were holding secret meetings off-site.
Is that half a dozen? What's the number?
Again, I can't really put a number on it right now, but more than just Strzok and Page.
Okay, so there we have him on record saying more than just two people. What have these revelations done to the investigation, do you believe, Professor?
Well, first of all, every civil libertarian, whether a liberal or conservative, should be concerned about abuses within the FBI. You know, liberals and civil libertarians for years have been worried about abuses since the days of J. Edgar Hoover. And suddenly, many liberals and civil libertarians are saying, no, we're going to give them a pass because they're going after Donald Trump. That's not the right approach. We have to have complete transparency. We have to know what our intelligence agencies, domestic and foreign, are doing. We have to make sure that they are not exceeding their authority or violating the trust of the American people. And so we need to know everything that happened within the FBI, whether it involves investigations of Donald Trump or anyone else.
Oh, okay. Bob Goodlatte said 15 minutes ago there will be hearings and people will be called to these public hearings. We await more on that. Bob Mueller used to run the FBI. Now you have some Republicans running around saying you can't trust him. Do you think Robert Mueller should continue to lead this special counsel investigation? Are you okay with that?
Robert Mueller is a very decent man. He has been accused of overzealousness by people who have been on the other side. But I don't think he's a partisan. I don't think he cares whether his investigation hurts the Republicans, hurts the Democrats. I don't think he's a partisan. I think he is a very, very tough prosecutor. If I'm an innocent person, I'd like him to be the special prosecutor. If I'm guilty, I'd be very worried about that. But I don't see any reason at this point for suggesting his removal.
Okay. Mike Pompeo, Jeff Sessions, James Comey, they have all apparently spoken with Mueller's team. Where do you think this investigation is now? And before you answer that, I want to play a clip from Jay Sekulow last night. He was on with Sean Hannity, runs about 30 seconds, but he says something critical in here. I'll ask you about that. Listen carefully now. Sekulow from last night.
We have had all of the witness voluntarily comply. There's been no assertion before the special counsel's office of any type of privilege, executive privilege, attorney-client privilege, anything at this point. Nothing. So I always ask the question, you ask the president about what? That's what you want to know. So, again, I'm not going to disclose the conversations that we're having or not having. We are representing the client's interests. That's what I'll say.
You have to ask the president about what? I think that was the key thing he said in that. Would you advise President Trump to sit down with Mueller's team?
I don't think he has any choice. First of all, he can always be subpoenaed. Mueller has the authority to simply issue a subpoena and compel him to with his lawyer and without any restrictions on subject matter. He can't resist that. Nobody is above the law when it comes to a grand jury subpoena. So at this point, something has to be negotiated. Look, the president's lawyers would much prefer to have written questions and written answers, but I don't think Mueller is going to accept that. I think in the end, there's going to be no choice but to sit down and have an interview limited in time, limited in scope, with his lawyers present, and hopefully he'll answer the questions yes and no without elaborating too much. That's the hope that his lawyers have. They want to be able to control the situation and not allow Mueller to ask him to go far afield and to make statements that could fill gaps or come back to hurt him. Remember, the president doesn't know what he doesn't know. He doesn't know whether there are emails or anything else that might contradict something he says. The president doesn't know who has testified secretly in front of a grand jury. The president doesn't know where the gaps are in the prosecution's case. So he has to be very careful how he answers these questions.
Yeah, whether it's Pompeo, Sessions, or Comey, or whether or not President Trump's on deck, what do you think the investigation is now? Is it the investigative part, is it near the end?
Well, I worry that it's toward obstruction of justice, and that would create a constitutional crisis. If the president were to be charged with obstruction for simply exercising his constitutional authority, firing Comey, telling Comey not to investigate Flynn, those are all within the president's constitutional authority. The other place it may be going is toward collusion, but collusion is not a crime. I would think that the special prosecutor should limit himself to matters that are criminal. And thus far, I have not heard evidence to suggest that any crimes were committed in or near the Oval Office.
Wow. Where does that leave you then?
It leaves me worrying that what's going to happen is that this investigation will end not with a bang but a whimper, with some low-hanging fruit, people being indicted for things that aren't directly related to the thrust of the investigation, and or the great worry is that because he doesn't have anything really substantial, he may go after obstruction of justice, which would create a constitutional crisis.
Wow. Alan Dershowitz, thank you for your insight yet again. It's great to have you on our program. Thank you, Professor.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer backing out of a deal to fund President Trump's border wall. The president now saying no wall, no DACA. Are we back at a stalemate? Our panel is going to take that one up next.
Also, Google's got a mission to the moon, but apparently that's going on hold. We'll tell you why. Way up in space.
Fly me
Take me there.
Yes, we shall.
Let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
What makes these simple dishes the best simple dishes ever? Great tasting, heart healthy California walnuts. So simple, so good. Get the recipes at walnuts.org.
Dry mouth has been a problem for me. I just drank tons of water all the time. It was never enough. My dentist suggested Biotine. My mouth felt more lubricated. I used Biotine rinse. And then I used the spray. Biotine did make a difference.
Teddy's a pitmaster. When it comes to playing with fire, nobody does it better. He's also a volunteer firefighter. But when it comes to mortgages, he's less confident. Fortunately for Teddy, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so he can understand the details and get approved in as few as 8 minutes. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA. Every MyPillow is made with passion here in my home state of Minnesota to ensure you get the best sleep of your life.
One of the things that I really like about MyPillow is the support. It gives my neck a little hug.
I've never slept better in my life. What's better than a great night's sleep?
Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and MyPillow is one of the most important things to your sleep.
Call or go online to order MyPillow Premium, and Mike will give you a second pillow absolutely free. Use the promo code on your screen to get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. Don't delay. Order now.
I tried every pillow from expensive down pillows that just went flat to fiber-filled pillows that rebound every time you move your head. I even tried those memory foam pillows, and the curve did not match my neck, and it probably won't match yours. That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
MyPillow lasts 10 years, is machine washable and dryable, and comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee.
I personally guarantee MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own, or your money back.
Call or go online to order MyPillow Premium, and Mike will give you a second pillow absolutely free. Use the promo code on your screen to get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1.
Hurry! Offer ends February 1st.
With our 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose.
Sleep well, America! For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
So, and the winner is no one. Google has scrapped its $30 million backing to get a privately funded spacecraft to go to the moon. The tech giant saying that its Lunar X Moonshot prize will go unclaimed, as apparently not one of the teams is likely to make the deadline of March 31.
Okay.
You know, Google's got the cash to go there on its own. It doesn't.
There's no question they've got a lot of.
Or they could pick up the phone and call Elon Musk,
There you
and
go.
then we got a team.
Yeah.
So
Just call him or he'll help.
okay. For hire.
Moving on. President Trump lashing out at Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer after the top Democrat says his offer to fund the president's border wall in last week's negotiations is now off the table. President Trump tweeting this: crying Chuck Schumer fully understands, especially after his humiliating defeat, that if there is no wall, there is no DACA. We must have safety and security together with a strong military for our great people. Let's bring in the panel. Emily Tish Sussman is a campaign director at the Center for American Progress Action Fund. Lawrence Jones is a radio host of the Lawrence Jones Show. So I don't know. Lawrence, take it away here. Who's winning here? Who's on top?
Sandra, last week on the couch on Outnumbered, I predicted this. I knew that the president wasn't going to cave. I knew Republicans weren't going to cave. I knew that the Democrats were going to cave on this issue because guess what? It was a losing issue. They decided to put non-citizens before the American people. And what we're seeing now with the president is that he's making it very clear. Either I get the wall or we stop talking about DACA altogether. I don't think the president is going to cave on this, and neither should he.
You know, Chuck Schumer, for his part, Emily, is saying that Senate Democrats, quote, cut the best deal possible in ending the shutdown. Did they?
I don't know that we can say it was the best deal, but who are they negotiating with? It's impossible to say at this point. I love that Trump is saying right now you get the wall for DACA. Actually, he got that deal. That was the deal that was offered to him, and then he was blasting it later on. And even Republicans were saying, look, we brought you a good deal, and we have no idea who we're negotiating with. Is it Trump who's trying to have it all ways and saying he has strong compassion for the Dreamers? If he has such strong compassion, why does he and his White House keep moving the ball? Just yesterday, the Secretary of Homeland Security was all over the Hill with a whole new wish list of things. When asked if Democrats are supposed to be negotiating with her, she's negotiating on behalf of the White House, she said, no, I really don't know if the president endorses these ideas or not. And in fact, they know that he doesn't. So if they're trying to have it all ways, they're trying to have such compassion for the Dreamers who are stuck here in limbo when they're losing status every single day, and turn it into a totally partisan and political game.
I'll let Lawrence jump in on that.
Here's the deal, Sandra. Democrats have this talking point that they gave the president what he wanted. They said they wanted to build the wall, but they didn't want to fund the wall. And that's the core argument going on right now is a lot of Democrats want to put illegals before the American people. And the American people have said, we want to be compassionate when it comes to DACA. But first, you got to fund the wall. You got to fund border security. You got to give our border agents what they need on the border to maintain our national security. The Democrats want to put the cart before the horse. And we saw under the Reagan administration what happened with the American people. They were very upset that they didn't get that border security that they wanted. And so this president doesn't want to make that same mistake. All the Democrats have to do is give the American people border security, and then we can have a conversation about DACA.
To your point, so it's back to the negotiating table, right, Emily?
It is absolutely back to the table. And I'd say the onus really here is on the 12 Senate Republicans who made this deal and said, look, we are willing to have compassion here. We understand these are people who have played by the rules their entire lives, and suddenly their status was ripped out from under them, and now they are in limbo. So it really is on those 12 Senate Republicans. It's interesting to see that yesterday some of them were making a publicity tour saying, I did such a great job having a bipartisan discussion. And actually, we don't know who is in the rest of that group. I think because they don't want that pressure. They don't want to be identified as saying, I am the one who is responsible for cutting this deal. I am responsible for making sure that McConnell brings a clean vote to the floor, when McConnell has repeatedly broken promises to his caucus on taxes and on health care to get the votes he wanted.
Lawrence.
Look, let me tell you something. This president is not going to govern his immigration policy by squishy Republicans. If you're under the illusion that if the president is just going to cut a deal just for the sake of getting a deal, that's not going to happen. He will have severe blowback from not just his base, but for libertarians like me that want border security. So the president is not going to go along with Lindsey Graham's deal, because we know Lindsey Graham and a lot of squishy Republicans like him say one thing to the president, and then they get behind closed doors with the Democrats and cut a different deal. And that's what angered the president.
You guys are all fired up. I've unfortunately got to leave it there, but that's the debate that is happening right now. Lawrence and Emily, thank you.
Sandra.
Thank you.
About 12 minutes now before the hour. In a moment here, the family of a murdered U.S. Marshal now striving to move forward. A group is stepping forward to help make the future easier in their loss. It's an inspiring American story, and that story is next.
It saddens me to be here today, but I knew it was our duty and our obligation to make sure that we as Americans come together to take care of the family that was left behind of Deputy U.S. Marshal Christopher David Hill, who was killed yesterday in the line of duty.
Even though I've been out of the game for a while, I have learned to turn to Blue Emu's lidocaine cream for my pain. Blue Emu's new lidocaine cream with its patent-pending hands-free sponge applicator gets down deep for hard-hitting pain relief. It doesn't leave me smelling bad. Blue Emu, it works fast and you won't stink.
Let's begin. Yes or no? Do you want the same tools and seamless experience across web and tablet? Do you want $4.95 commissions for stocks, 50-cent options contracts, $1.50 futures contracts? What about a dedicated service team of trading specialists? Did you say yes? Good. Then it's time for Power E-Trade, the platform, price, and service that gives you the edge you need. Looks like we have a couple of seconds left. Let's do some card twirling. Twirling cards. E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for people taking cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. Cunol, with 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10, has the #1 cardiologist-recommended form of CoQ10. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
FBI failure, how the agency lost crucial text messages, and the impact on critical ongoing investigations. We get answers tonight in our powerful lineup.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer, free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-5270.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila, sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-604-5270, or visit SoClean.com today.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
What if you could lose fat in just a few hours?
I don't know what to say. I'm just in shock.
You can with Sono Bello.
It seems no matter how much you work out or diet, there are parts of your body that just don't seem to change.
I went to the gym, I worked out at home, I bought videos.
No matter what I did, that bulge was still there.
With its advanced micro-laser technology,
Sono Bello gently removes that targeted fat and shapes your body for life-changing results.
as America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist, Sono Bello has performed over 100,000 personalized body and facial procedures, helping tens of thousands of people change their lives.
After 5 years trying to get rid of that roll of fat, Sono Bello did it in one day.
Call for your free no-obligation consultation today and get $250 off your Sono Bello body.
Payment plans are available.
Call 888-317-1425 or go to sonobello.com.
There was a New York-based organization created after 9/11 to raise money for the families of fallen first responders, and now it's branching out. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation now pledging $100,000 to pay off the mortgage of a Pennsylvania deputy marshal, Christopher Hill, killed while serving a warrant at a Harrisburg, PA home last week. And the founder of Tunnel to Towers, Frank Siller, his brother, Stephen Siller, was an FDNY firefighter who gave his life trying to save others on 9/11. Frank, good morning to you. The funeral for Christopher Hill is tomorrow. You were with the family yesterday.
Remarkable family.
How are they doing?
Well, you know, remarkably well. They have a lot of support with the fellow U.S. Marshals that were there with them, their extended family. But they're torn apart, you know, it's obvious.
You have pledged an initial $100,000, and you're looking to raise $250,000. For what, Frank?
Well, we want to pay off their mortgage. We try to lift some of the burden of the families that go through this, to lose their loved ones, to go out there to protect their communities. And in this case, U.S. Deputy Marshal Hill was also an Army Ranger and served his country in so many different ways. And for the family to be torn apart like this, we feel like the Tunnel to Towers Foundation wants to be the foundation to bring people together. We're going to donate the first $100,000, but we need the rest of America to step up to make sure.
So you need to raise some money then. How can people help?
You go to tunneltotowers.org. My brother on 9/11 ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel to the towers and gave up his life. That's why we're called the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. So tunneltotowers.org. 100% of what everybody donates will go to this family, pay off the mortgage, and hopefully we help them even a little bit more.
How old are the children that he has left behind?
14 and 12.
Wow.
Travis and Ashlyn. Beautiful kids. They were so polite and so respectful yesterday. They loved their dad. There were stories being told of them that one of the things they loved to do is when he came home and he left his job, when he walked through the front door, and this is what his wife Sylvia expressed to me and told me, that when he came through that front door, he left his job behind him, became a father, a loving father, and they used to love doing dance-offs in kitchens and stuff. So this is what America has to remember, that these men and women that protect us, they have families. And when they die in the line of duty like this, we have to take care of those families.
Was he serving a warrant? What was he?
He's serving a warrant for arrest.
Shots were fired.
Yes.
Wow. You have done enormous good for so many people. Fire department, police department, veterans, U.S. Marshals. I think the amount of money that your organization has raised to help ease the burden for so many families is remarkable. And you do it in the memory of your brother.
Well, he was a hero, too. He was my family's hero, but there's so many heroes out there that we have to take care of. I think my brother would be proud of what we're doing in his honor, but not just his, but all those who perished on 9/11. We got to make sure we don't forget, you know, his life, his story. He was married, had 5 kids, and of course, you know, like the Deputy Marshal Hill. Let's not forget the sacrifice that he made. America has an opportunity to reach out and help this family. We see these things happen. It's up to us to step up and make sure that we take care of it. Tunneltotowers.org.
You've done great work, and our best to the family in Pennsylvania. The funeral is tomorrow.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing your story, and I hope we can raise you some money, okay?
I hope so, too.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
Sandra?
A great cause. Good to have them on. Startling new evidence of alleged anti-Trump bias at the highest levels of the FBI. Is this the beginning of the end for the Russia investigation?
I would like to take a moment to address my fellow veterans, because I know there are so many of you who have served your country honorably, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, or 32 years like myself. One of the benefits that we as a country give you as a veteran is your eligibility for a VA loan. Not 80%, but 100% the value of your home, and that's what you can get at New Day USA.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-647-6712. It's a new day for veterans who need money for their family. Home values are going up, and home equity lending is back.
That's me.
New Day USA has helped thousands of veterans close in as little as 30 days through their valuable VA home loan.
That's me.
Cash to pay credit cards, cash for retirement, or cash just to put in the bank. It's a new day in lending, and for veterans who need money, that can mean a lot.
That's me.
Call New Day USA at 1-844-647-6712.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, tile, laminate, and even hardwood, 75% off. Empire makes beautiful new floors easy. See samples in your home, get a free estimate during your appointment, and have your floors professionally installed. Update your floors with Empire and get 75% off carpet, tile, laminate, and hardwood. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
You take care of business. Let Office Depot Office Max take care of you. This week at Office Depot Office Max, save big on tax software for your business. Plus, let us help you manage your business finances at OfficeDepot.com/BizBox.
I promise to have and to hold from this day forward till death do us part.
SelectQuote can help you keep your promise with life insurance starting at under $1 a day.
But you promised, Dad.
Come on.
SelectQuote helped Jim, 41, keep his promise by finding him a $500,000 policy for under $26 per month. And found Kathy, 37, a $750,000 policy for just $22 per month. Since 1985, we've helped millions of families by finding them affordable coverage by impartially shopping highly rated insurers offering over 70 policies.
Dad, you're coming, right?
You promise?
You promise? You promise?
I promise.
Keep your promise. Call SelectQuote at 800-304-3359 or visit SelectQuote.com for life insurance coverage starting at under $1 a day. We shop, you save.
What you got, Bill?
What was your favorite story of the day?
Oh, God, you always put me on the spot.
Google going to the moon.
Oh, Google going to the moon. Yeah. That's clearly yours, huh?
No, I was just kidding. Hey, we got to run. Make it a great day. It is Wednesday, so you're halfway there, America.
Yeah, halfway. Happening now starts right now.
Ciao. Bye-bye. And we begin with this Fox News alert. New revelations in the Russia election investigation, casting doubt on its integrity and drawing quick criticism from Republicans. Newly released text messages between Agent Peter Strzok and attorney Lisa Page reveal they had concerns about joining the Mueller investigation at all, suggesting it was likely to be a dry well. The FBI also admitting that 5 months' worth of their text messages are missing. All of this comes amid reports that Robert Mueller wants to investigate President Trump about the dismissals of James Comey and Michael Flynn. We will have the latest on all these developments ahead on Happening Now. But we begin with Washington still at odds, trying to cut a deal on immigration.
Still.
Can they do it? Good morning to you. I'm John Scott.
And I'm Melissa Francis. Negotiations right back to square one after Chuck Schumer withdrew his offer to fund the president's border wall. It was part of a deal proposed by Senators Lindsey Graham, Jeff Flake, and Dick Durbin, which the White House turned down. Sarah Sanders explains.
The Flake-Graham-Durbin agreement does not meet these benchmarks. In fact, it would not secure our border, encourage more illegal immigration, increase chain migration, and retain the visa lottery system. In short, it's totally unacceptable to the president and should be declared dead on arrival.
Now, President Trump says without the wall, there is no deal on DACA. Peter Ducey joining me from Capitol Hill. So, Peter, where do we go from here just weeks before the government runs out of money again?
Melissa, again, they're at an impasse. This time it's because the Democratic leadership is saying they're not going to give any money for a border wall during these negotiations. And the president is saying if that's the case, then there's not going to be any new protections for DACA recipients. So Republican Senator Ron Johnson just told us here in the hallway he thinks an immigration deal is further away now than lawmakers would like.
We do need better barriers. They actually work. I visited Israel. Their fence stopped illegal immigration. So when put in the right places, they work. You know, the other elements, we're trying to keep this pretty simple. I don't think the diversity lottery makes any sense whatsoever. We have a diverse nation. We allow people into this country in a very diverse basis.
Most Republicans in the Senate really aren't talking about wrapping up DACA negotiations until March, which is when people brought here illegally as kids actually face deportation. And that's even though the Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, wants things done a month earlier, in February, when the 3-week-long continuing resolution that he decided to support, thus ending the government shutdown, expires.
We've gotten a commitment from Senator McConnell, trust but verify, but he made it not just to Democrats, but to a good chunk of his own caucus. So that means a lot. And I think we have renewed momentum.
And there's still not much guidance about what House leaders would do if the Senate passes a bipartisan immigration bill and then kicks it over to them. But the House isn't even in session right now. Lawmakers are home in their states, in their districts, while the negotiations, while the talks are starting to percolate here in the Senate. So it's tough to tell what exactly they would come up with here that could pass both chambers and then get President Trump's signature. Melissa?
Wow. All right, Peter, thank you.
The U.S. launching an airstrike last weekend, reportedly killing more than 100 ISIS fighters. That strike targeting an area along the Euphrates River near the Syrian-Iraq border, one of the last pockets of ISIS control. Lucas Tomlinson joins us live from the Pentagon with more. Lucas.
John, it's one of the largest airstrikes against ISIS in the past year. The U.S. military estimating it killed roughly 150 ISIS fighters in eastern Syria. The massive airstrike occurred while the U.S. government was shut down Saturday, so technically the pilots flew this one for free. It followed more than a week of round-the-clock surveillance overhead and U.S.-backed fighters from the Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, on the ground. The U.S.-led coalition has launched nearly 30,000 airstrikes against ISIS since 2014. But in a sign of how much the air war has slowed, 12 A-10 Warthog jets seen here, originally slated for ISIS strikes from an airbase in Turkey, were instead sent to Afghanistan to provide close air support to U.S. troops. But in a statement, the head of U.S. Special Operations Forces in Iraq and Syria says, quote, "The fight to liberate Syria is far from over. Our SDF partners are still making progress daily and sacrifices, and together we are still finding, targeting, and killing ISIS terrorists." But partnering with Kurdish fighters against ISIS has come at a cost with NATO ally Turkey, who views the Kurds as a terrorist threat and has launched an assault in northwest Syria, home to Kurds allied with the U.S. Today, officials say the U.S.-backed force is majority Arab, which receives strong support from the CIA director.
In eastern Syria, the Department of Defense has done good work trying to bring the Sunnis in alongside our Kurdish partners there as well. I think they've made real progress there.
Defense Secretary Mattis says the roughly 2,000 U.S. troops in Syria will stay there until ISIS is ultimately defeated. John?
Lucas Tomlinson there at the Pentagon for us. Lucas, thank you.
All right, a Fox News alert for you right now on Wall Street. The Dow surging 169 points as the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ all hitting record highs today on the backs of higher than expected earnings. Great news out of companies this quarter. JP Morgan as well, talking about what they're going to do with all the extra money they have as a result of those tax breaks. We're also seeing the dollar slipping a bit, and all of this coming together to make a good day in the markets.
Dow on fire.
Yeah.
The California parents accused of torturing and shackling their 13 children back in court today. What a judge is considering to keep those kids safe. And the FBI says it's missing 5 months of text messages passed between these two, ex-Mueller investigator Peter Strzok and FBI attorney Lisa Page. The revelation prompting more GOP claims of anti-Trump bias in the Bureau.
It could be truly a technical glitch, but it's suspicious. And one of the questions we're asking the Department of Justice and the Office of Inspector General, are they aggressively going to recover those from other sources?
Hi, I'm Joan Lennon with A Place for Mom. Every day we hear from families who partnered with a senior living advisor from A Place for Mom to help find the perfect place for their mom or dad.
Thank you so much for your assistance in helping us find a place. Mom feels safe and comfortable and has met many wonderful residents and staffers.
Thank you for helping our family find our father a new home. We especially appreciate the information about the VA Aid and Attendance Program.
I feel I found the right place, a perfect fit. You were my angel and helped guide me every step of the way. Thank you.
The senior living advisors at A Place for Mom partner with thousands of families every month, listening and offering local knowledge and advice to help find the best senior living communities across the country. And it won't cost you a cent. This is a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family. We know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Who can be a victim of identity theft? Anyone. You, me, even reality TV star and owner of the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, Rick Harrison.
Identity thieves don't care who you are. They just want the money. My identity was stolen. I had over a dozen credit cards and accounts all across the country. I don't know how to fix identity theft.
Rick Harrison helps protect his identity with LifeLock.
Over a dozen accounts were opened in my name, and LifeLock helped fix things every time.
Credit card notifications and checking statements don't show you enough. Even if you monitor your credit, you can miss certain identity theft threats. LifeLock's proprietary network sees more, like your information being sold on the dark web. If there is a problem, our US-based restoration agents dedicated to your case will work to fix it.
As a LifeLock member, I have a whole team of people who've got my back. If there's a problem, I got my guys.
When someone takes what's yours, you want it back. With LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package, if your money is taken or if you have expenses due to identity theft, LifeLock will either get it back for you or reimburse you for it up to the limit of your plan. Plus, we'll provide lawyers and experts if that's what it takes.
When I don't know enough about something, I call in an expert. When it comes to my identity, the expert I use is LifeLock.
Join today for as low as $9.99 per month and get 30 days free with promo code JOINNOW. LifeLock members get identity threat detection and alerts, a dedicated US-based restoration agent assigned to your case, and you'll be covered by LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package. Start your membership today. Enroll in minutes.
It's sort of like having your big 400-pound bodyguard standing next to you. No. Deal with him.
LifeLock. Call 1-800-495-0973 or visit LifeLockSpecial.com. Use promo code JOINNOW to get 30 days free and a free shredder with annual membership. Call right now.
A judge will soon decide whether to bar the parents of 13 children held captive in their Southern California home from contacting their kids. Prosecutors due in court today to seek the order before David and Louise Turpin's case goes to trial. The Turpins are pleading not guilty to charges of torture, child abuse, and false imprisonment. They are facing life in prison if convicted. Authorities say they beat, choked, and shackled their children to beds for months at a time. Riverside County has received more than $120,000 in donations to help the 13 siblings who are between the ages of 2 and 29 years old.
Dramatic developments in the Russia saga fueling GOP claims of bias in Robert Mueller's investigation. More text messages between FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page released yesterday, as the FBI now admits it did not save 5 months' worth of the couple's messages due to a so-called technical glitch. That revelation prompting concern from GOP lawmakers about potential criminal misconduct. Here is Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin.
Strzok and Page were very high level within the FBI. I mean, Peter Strzok's title was FBI Deputy Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Division. These aren't low-level underlings. These are individuals that had access to the highest level, including the director of the FBI.
Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas joins us now. Congressman, you know a thing or two about conducting investigations. What would you like to know about those 5 months' worth of missing text messages?
I just want the text messages. That's very clear. And we are looking at a potential obstruction here. This is an outrage. And I read today they're wanting to talk to the president. My advice to, if I were the president's attorney, is these guys, this team is so prejudiced against you, and we know what they did to Flynn. They didn't have much to go on, so they bankrupted him with attorney's fees costs and then threatened to go after his son. So the best thing you can do is not talk to these people. We know what happened to Martha Stewart and Scooter Libby, when they don't have a case, then they question you till they get you to say something inconsistent, and then they prosecute you for false statements. So don't talk to them. I mean, this group needs to be barred. They need to be stopped, and we certainly need a second prosecutor. There is no way the current DOJ or the current leadership in the FBI, my gosh, if Wray won't even fire McCabe, then there's no way they can investigate themselves. The whole apple is solid, but there are worms that have eaten their way all through the upper leadership. We need a house cleaning.
I want to read one of the text messages that passed between these two. He, of course, was very high up in the FBI investigation, personally took part in the questioning of Hillary Clinton when her investigation was underway. And then he writes to Lisa Page, his mistress. He says, "You and I both know the odds are nothing. If I thought it was likely, I'd be there, no question. I hesitate in part because of my gut sense and concern. There's no big there." Now, he seems to be alluding to participating in the Mueller investigation, and he wrote that text 2 days after Mueller was appointed by Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General.
Yep. Yeah. And so obviously he knew there really wasn't any there. But when you start, I mean, why would they be meeting off the agency area? Why would they have meetings away from the office? It says that they must have had something other than justice in mind, because if it was real justice, they would have been meeting at the Department of Justice. These people need to be investigated. We know from the other texts, the other messages, the circumstances surrounding them, that they could not be fair, that they wanted to keep Trump from being elected, and then an insurance policy to take him out if he was elected. And I'm telling you, this stinks to high heaven. And this time, Congress cannot drop the ball. We did not enforce our contempt on Eric Holder when documents disappeared and he refused to produce them. We did not go after Koskinen and Lois Lerner. Nobody paid a price for those obstructions and those things disappearing. This is too serious. We have got to hold these people accountable. And frankly, back when Congress was earmarking or line iteming, it'd be real easy. You just zero out the offices that are not cooperating, and then they cooperate. But we have got to get back to enforcing and overseeing and just zeroing out offices that aren't doing their jobs. And I'm very concerned about Wray, if he will not even fire McCabe with all we know about McCabe.
The chairman of your House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, was on in the
doing
last...
a good job.
Yeah, he was on in the last hour. He had this to say about his concerns about the way the investigation into the Hillary Clinton matter was handled versus the Trump investigation. Let's listen now.
That's a clear indication that he cannot be impartial in that process, because it's only worth him doing it if there is something there. So that, coupled with all of his involvement on the other side with regard to the Clinton investigation, writing and changing the statement of the FBI director, and of course his communications with Ms. Page about that in earlier texts that we've seen, raises the public's concern that you have two very, very different standards of treatment.
Talking there about Peter Strzok and his involvement in both the Russia investigation. I called it the Trump investigation. It's really the Russia investigation, as well as the Hillary Clinton investigation. There does seem to be a double standard, at least on his part.
Yeah, and Bob Goodlatte's one of the most fair people you could ever run into. And, you know, I really believe under Chairman Goodlatte, we are going to keep pushing till we get to the bottom of this. But corruption, wherever it is found, has to be rooted out. And I hope and pray we'll reach a point where our Democratic friends will say, you know what, this really is bad. This is terrible. We have got to clean house now. We have got to get our FBI and DOJ house in order. It got too far out of order in the past. And I hope they'll join us and quit playing politics. This is This is just too serious. This is how you lose a country when the Department of Justice becomes just us.
Some serious issues on the front burner, and you're investigating it with your Judiciary Committee. Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas, thank you.
Thank you.
The former USA gymnastics team doctor who sexually assaulted young athletes is in court right now as the judge prepares to sentence Larry Nassar. Plus, the CIA director with a stark warning about North Korea as the regime works relentlessly to upgrade its nuclear arsenal. How close we are to being in danger.
Make no mistake about it, their testing capacity is improved, and the frequency that they have tests which are materially successful has also improved, putting them ever closer to a place where Americans can be held at risk.
Stay with me, Mr. Parker.
When a critical patient is far from the hospital must come to the patient.
Stay with me, Mr. Parker.
The AT&T network is helping first responders connect with medical teams in near real time.
Stay with me, Mr. Parker.
Saving time when it matters most.
Stay with me, Mrs. Parker.
That's the power of AND.
Millions of you are online right now searching one topic. That will generate over 600 million results. And if you've been diagnosed with cancer, searching for answers, like where to treat, can feel even more overwhelming. So start your search with a specialist at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Start with teams of cancer treatment experts under one roof. Start where specialists use advanced genomic testing to guide precision cancer treatment that may lead to targeted therapies and more treatment options. Start where there's a commitment to analyzing the latest research and conducting clinical trials to help each patient get the personalized cancer care they deserve. Start at one of the Cancer Treatment Centers of America hospitals near you. The evolution of cancer care is here. Learn more at cancercenter.com/experts. Appointments available now.
Do you have a life insurance policy you no longer need? Now you can sell your policy.
We bought life insurance when our kids were young.
Our youngest just turned 40, and we no longer needed the coverage.
So we called Coventry Direct. We sold our policy. Now we have money to help with the medical bills.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may be a candidate to sell your policy. Call 1-800-515-4100 or visit CoventryDirect.com.
Putting America first at Davos, how the president plans to push his agenda and why it could shake up the high-profile conference. Britt Hume has insight on the story tonight.
Hi, I'm Dana Lash from The Dana Show. If you could be more heart healthy just by drinking a glass of delicious superfood, would you do it? Of course you would. There's one superfood I drink every day for healthy circulation and to make me feel great all day long. It's called Super Beets, and you can try it for yourself risk-free. Beets contain a nutrient that increases your own natural energy. It supports healthy blood pressure, too. And Super Beets gives you the benefit of 3 whole beets. I take Super Beets as my pre-workout in the morning and as a non-jittery pick-me-up in the afternoon.
Give Super Beets a try for 2 weeks. 1 week, just 1 week, and you will see a difference, I promise.
Don't wait another day to start increasing your energy.
With your first order, get another 30-day supply of Super Beets free, plus our test strips to see how Super Beets is working for you, and free shipping. Try Super Beets. You'll love it or your money back. Order your Super Beets today.
Call 1-800-495-4034 or visit buysuperbeets.com now.
Right now, Larry Nassar's sexual assault victims are making final impact statements before the former USA gymnastics team doctor is sentenced today for molesting young athletes under the guise of medical treatment. The 54-year-old pleaded guilty to 7 counts of criminal sexual misconduct. Nassar faces a minimum prison term of 25 to 40 years.
Just in, the CIA says Kim Jong-un's nuclear weapons program is aimed at uniting the Korean peninsula under North Korean rule, as the rogue regime is now just months away from being able to mount a nuclear attack on the U.S.
I talked last week about the fact that North Korea is ever closer to being able to hold America at risk. I said that was a handful of months. I had said the same thing several months before that. I want everyone to understand that we are working diligently to make sure that a year from now, I can still tell you they are several months away from having that capacity. It's not a static time frame. There is much effort all across the United States government to ensure that Americans don't have to feel at risk.
Let's bring in retired four-star General Jack Heaney, who is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. Sir, thank you for joining us. What do you think of what you just heard?
Well, we've heard it before, but I'm really encouraged by the fact that the director of the CIA is willing to go out there and sound the alarm bell like this, because that's clearly what he's doing. You know, he's telling us within a few months, North Korea is likely to reach full capability in terms of nuclearized ICBMs, and that's a threat that's unacceptable to us by virtue of our policy, and I totally agree with that. I do think there's some things that we can do, Melissa, and I'm encouraged by the fact that I think he made some news when he said he believes Kim Jong-un is a rational actor.
Yes, that stuck out to me as well, because everybody talks about him as a madman, but he said, no, he's a rational actor, and it's clear what he wants to do. He wants to get these weapons. He wants to unite the peninsula. Why is that meaningful?
Well, because then we can have some impact on him. And here's some things that I think we should be doing. If we are not, and hopefully we are, conducting offensive cyber attack against Kim Jong-un's capabilities, information systems, his command and control, his finance system, turn it into a paper operation, and his energy infrastructure. There's a pipeline going from China into North Korea. Shut it down electronically. We have the capability to do that. Secondly, we should be executing a naval blockade now of North Korea, shutting the back door off to all the resupply action that we know is actually going on, which is helping us sustain the regime. We should also bring some troops into South Korea to thicken the defense there. We should bring some troops to other bases in the region. Why are we doing all of this? Because, one, he's a rational actor, and if you want to prevent a war, you want to show him that we're fully prepared to execute it. The other thing is, why, and I don't understand this, why are we still sending military families into South Korea? Makes no sense. We should turn that into what we call in the military an unaccompanied tour assignment like Iraq and Afghanistan is. And we should plan and tell military families and Americans that we may have to evacuate you out of South Korea because a potential conflict is obviously on the horizon. These are some of the things that we can do, and then we've got to make sure that the State Department is shutting down all the other countries that are trading with
the families that go along with the military that we place there. You want to keep the military there, but take away, you know, basically civilians that are there accompanying them, showing that it's that we're ready for battle. But let me focus on the blockade.
Let me say what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
I'm saying we should not send any more families there. And those that are there, we should develop plans, not now, but develop plans to execute an evacuation of those as the drumbeat gets closer. And we've got several 100,000 Americans in South Korea. As the drumbeat of war gets closer, we may have to plan and certainly give them a warning that to leave the country. All of this actually tells the leader in North Korea, by taking these actions, that our policy is real. It's not just rhetoric. It's not just words.
And you also, the idea of a blockade, I mean, recently we saw those photos of Chinese tankers cooperating, taking products, whether it's oil or coal, out of North Korea and then taking it to other places where it can be sold, violating what they've agreed to do. Would a blockade stop that? And is publication maybe of those pictures that we know what's going on, is that letting them know that, you know, here's the ammo for us to set up a blockade?
Yeah, a blockade would stop it for sure, and we know how to do that effectively. The Navy trains at such a thing, and we blockaded the Russians from resupplying the Cubans during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it ended that conflict. Now, the critics of what I'm saying will say, well, that's a provocation. A blockade is accepted in the international community as an act of war, and therefore we're inviting North Korean Kim Jong-un to actually execute a war. Well, if you accept what Pompeo said to us, then he's a rational actor. Would he actually start a war over a naval blockade? I don't think so.
General Jack Keane, thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time and your insight, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Melissa, thank you.
And another world trouble spot to tell you about: a deadly attack in Afghanistan. Gunmen storm a children's charity in the eastern city of Jalalabad. And these guys are not seeing eye to eye right now. Why President Trump and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer cannot seem to strike a deal on immigration.
The wall offer is off the table.
On the next edition of Scandalous, the Paula Jones case hits the courtroom.
We said, look, Mr. President, you have to answer these charges.
A major shakeup in the investigation.
Ken Starr was regarded as Republican and quite conservative.
And the shutdown that led to the first infamous White House encounter. Sunday, it all kicks off with the premiere that had everyone talking. Then, don't miss episode 2, A Woman Named Paula.
Do you know which investment could be your best performer this year? Stocks, real estate, bonds? None of the above. It's silver. It's trending higher. And if silver returns to its all-time high, that's over a 200% increase. Call now to get this free report. First-time callers also get this free 1-gram silver bar.
If I could only invest in one thing, it'd be silver. Silver is running out. It's in short supply. It is one of the greatest investments you could have right now.
Call Lear Capital for your free report, Sky High Silver. See why silver could skyrocket 50% this year. Why financial experts and investment banks are hoarding silver at today's low price. And how silver can help protect your savings from global turmoil.
Investing in silver is the perfect way to protect your wealth.
Ask how you can get up to $2,000 in free silver. This offer ends soon. Call 1-800-885-1955. 1-800-885-1955.
Oh, sorry I'm late, sir. Had a doctor's appointment.
When you said you were at the doctor, but your shirt says you were at a steakhouse, that's when you know. It's half washed. Now from Downy Fabric Conditioner comes Downy Odor Protect with 24-hour odor protection. Downy's powerful formula conditions fibers to lock out odors all day.
Hey, your shirt's making me hungry.
Oh, haha, Derek.
Downy, and it's done.
I'm pretty handy around the house, but now that I have kids, I don't want to spend a Saturday installing a toilet or fixing an air conditioner. Thankfully, there's Home Advisor. A Home Advisor helps me find the best home pros in my area to handle any kind of project. They have verified reviews of the pros, and they do background checks, so you know you can trust them with your home. You can compare prices, book appointments, and what my wife loves most is that Home Advisor is completely free to use.
Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free app.
I cannot imagine managing my diabetes without my Dexcom.
This is the Dexcom G5 Mobile Continuous Glucose Monitoring System. A small wearable sensor measures your glucose every 5 minutes and sends the data to a Dexcom receiver.
Dexcom helps lower A1C and improves quality of life. If you're over 65 and you have diabetes, you should have a Dexcom.
If you get a Dexcom, you're going to be very glad that you did.
Visit DexcomNow.com to learn more.
Take off for Mexico with Expedia. One click gives you access to discounts on thousands of hotels, cars, and things to do, like the Fairmont Mayakoba, for 59% off. Everything you need to go. Expedia.
I finally figured out what car to get. Now, where to find the best deal?
You know,
Why don't I help?
What's that?
Car Gurus. Color?
Silver. Car Gurus?
Low miles, 2 grand below market value, 5-star dealer rating. Ooh, I'm beat.
Let's do it your way then.
I heard that.
Car Gurus. Find great deals from top-rated dealers near you at cargurus.com.
Fox News alert, Lansing, Michigan. In the courtroom right now, Dr. Larry Nassar, the former USA teen gymnastics doctor, about to be sentenced for molesting the young athletes who were in his care under the guise of medical treatment. He pleaded guilty to 7 counts of criminal misconduct, could get anywhere from 25 to 40 years in prison. There you see the doctor with his head hanging down. His accusers have brought heart-rending stories to the court about what he did to them under the guise of medical treatment. Just awful stuff. Larry Nassar will hear his sentence from the judge. We'll let you know exactly what he gets when that sentence is handed down.
Sat just feet away.
At least 3 people killed in an attack today in eastern Afghanistan after gunmen stormed a children's charity, and ISIS has claimed responsibility for this attack. David Lee Miller is live from our Middle East Bureau with more. David Lee.
Melissa, the attack at the Save the Children's office in the city of Jalalabad began with a car bombing. Then the attackers, as you mentioned, stormed the building. According to one report, they were wearing military uniforms and armed with rocket-propelled grenades. After a day-long standoff, 2 employees at the Save the Children office were killed, and at least 4 of the attackers were dead. Some 25 people, plus 3 police officers, were wounded. 40 people were rescued. ISIS, which has claimed responsibility, says it is specifically targeting, and I quote, British and Swedish foundations and Afghan government institutes. Save the Children released a statement saying it is temporarily suspending all programs in Afghanistan. It reads in part, our humanitarian work in Afghanistan reaches almost 1.4 million children. We remain committed resuming our operations and life-saving work as quickly as possible, as soon as we can be assured that it is safe to do so. Save the Children has been doing aid work in that country for more than 4 decades. Now, the attack this morning comes only days after a deadly assault by the Taliban at the Intercontinental Hotel in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. During that siege, more than 40 people died. The State Department says some of the victims were Americans. According to a most recent report, 3 of the dead reportedly had dual Afghan-American citizenship. And lastly, Pakistani officials are now calling for what they call a credible investigation into the hotel bombing. This after reports surfaced that the attackers may have links to militants in Pakistan. Melissa?
David Lee Miller, thank you.
Lawmakers and the White House are not exactly seeing eye to eye on immigration matters these days, as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer retracts his offer to fully fund the president's wall. But the president says if there is no wall, there is no deal to fix DACA.
Senator Schumer doesn't even have a leg to stand on the issue. He completely misled the public about where the negotiations were. The DHS did an entire study on what we needed to fund the border wall, and it was $18 billion. He comes over here with a phony plan and a fake promise, and not even an appropriation, but an authorization of less than 1/10 of what is needed to secure the border and protect the American people.
So where do we go from here? Let's get some wise minds involved here. Joining us now, Michael Starr Hopkins. He's a Democratic strategist, attorney, and contributor to The Hill. Amy Holmes is political analyst for Rasmussen Reports. Thanks, both of you, for being here. So Chuck Schumer apparently offered to pay for the wall, but he says that offer is now withdrawn. Why?
Because we have no idea where the president actually is. At one point he says we need a bill of love and we're going to get DACA done. Then at another point he says we're not going to get DACA done. The only way we're going to get it done is if we get 1, 2, and 3 on his checklist, but then he pulls 2 off. You know, there's too much chaos. We need to know what's on the table before we can actually negotiate.
Well, politics is the art of the possible. There right. is some negotiating to be done. Chuck Schumer wants the dreamers, the 800,000, it's estimated, people who were brought here by their parents. He wants them to be able to stay here legally. Why not build a wall in exchange for that? and some of the other things the president wants.
Oh, look, John, I think Senator Schumer is now trying to look like a tough guy after getting beat up by his own base, caving on the government shutdown. And one of the things I wonder about the government shutdown, if it was such a great political gamble for Democrats, why don't they want to put their name on it, the Schumer shutdown? But I think what we're looking at right now is a negotiating position. The senator is taking the wall off the table so that he can give it back as if it's a big concession. Because, you know, John, where the real political payoff is, where I think the real debate is over chain migration, because that has to do, for the Democratic Party at least, about future voters.
Fair to say, Michael, Democrats do not like the wall idea. But you got to say, President Trump was, you know, very open when he was campaigning about that being one of his primary campaign planks. He wanted the wall, and it got him elected, did it not?
I don't think Democrats are against border security, but the idea we're going to build a wall across the entire Mexican border, I think fiscally isn't responsible.
But Michael, you just said that they were for it before they're against it. They were for it before the shutdown.
That sounds
a
lot like the president when it comes to immigration deals. You know, we've had comprehensive immigration deals that Republicans and Democrats have both put forth that the president said he would be willing to sign. Once it came time to negotiate those deals and sign them, the president said he didn't back them. So we need clarity. Democrats are willing to offer border security, but we're not going to do it while also giving up on the 800,000 DACA recipients who deserve to be made officially Americans.
Well, isn't the lack of border security part of the reason we're in the situation we're in now? I mean, in the Ronald Reagan era, we had a illegal immigration deal that was supposed to end illegal immigration for all time.
Right, and border security, it seems to me, should be a totally nonpartisan or bipartisan, all-American position. But Chuck Schumer is saying, he's not just saying border wall in terms of the, the structure, but any money that would go toward this. And what I'm saying here is, don't look over here, look over here. What this is a negotiating tactic. They're taking it off the table, and then at the 11th hour, okay, we'll be for the wall, because what they really want to keep in place is chain migration. That is what they don't want to talk about.
Is that the case? I mean, do Democrats really love the chain migration thing that allows somebody who wins the right to come to this country, it allows them to bring in family members as well?
Well, I think chain migration, the term itself, is a loaded term, because we're all part of coming here because family members were here before. But I think that when we talk about immigration itself, we need to look at the fact that illegal immigration is at an all-time low. And so the idea that we're going to spend billions and billions of dollars to address a problem that's not actually a problem when we look at the things that Americans are dealing with, fiscal responsibility is important.
But in point of fact, Democrats are going to agree to spend billions and billions on this border wall in order to get a DACA deal. I mean, let's face it.
I'd love to spend it on health care.
Did we learn anything from the shutdown? Did either party learn anything from the shutdown, Michael?
I think Democrats learned that we got to make sure that our base is happy and make sure that we're reaching across the aisle.
And I think Republicans learned that they don't always get blamed for it when it was a very bad gambit from the very beginning.
We're going to be watching what happens from now until February 8th. Good to have you both here to talk about it. Amy Olins, Michael Starr Hopkins.
It's always good to see you.
Melissa.
New details in the Russia probe. Special counsel Robert Mueller is reportedly closer to interviewing President Trump. Does this mean the investigation is nearing an end? We're going to discuss it with a former Deputy Assistant Attorney General. Plus, watch this. A school bus sliding on black ice on a hilly road in Massachusetts. Wait till you see the rest of this video.
The guy that got hit, I heard him yelling, "Get out of your car! Get out of your car!"
If you're the spouse of a military veteran, I want you to know something. Your spouse has earned the right to apply for a VA home loan. A VA home loan is unique. It's different than other loans because it allows you to borrow up to 100% of the home's value. That extra borrowing power may allow you to pay down debt, lower your monthly payments, put cash in the bank, and give you the peace of mind that every veteran deserves.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-637-2856. It's a new day for veterans who need money for their family. Home values are going up and home equity lending is back.
That's me.
New Day USA has helped thousands of veterans close in as little as 30 days through their valuable VA home loan.
That's me.
Cash to pay credit cards, cash for retirement, or cash just to put in the bank. It's a new day in lending, and for veterans who need money, that can mean a lot.
That's me.
Call New Day USA at 1-844-637-2856.
I had a lot of failed attempts at quilting. Me and these 2 knitting needles, we haven't quite made it there.
I couldn't make the things I wanted to.
Now, there's Craftsy.
I discovered Craftsy and I'm like, this is great.
At trycraftsy.com, choose from over 15 creative categories and learn from tutorials and classes made by the world's leading experts. Watch anywhere and get answers directly from the instructors.
We're there to help each other learn.
Act now and get a no-risk-free trial at trycraftsy.com.
Life happens everywhere. Like it never even happened, only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and servpro.com.
I don't know why I didn't get screened a long time ago. I kept putting it off. What was I thinking?
Okay, Mr. Jones, we're all done. I told you it was easy.
With Lifeline Screening, getting screened for unknown health conditions is so quick, painless, and affordable, you'll wonder why you hadn't done it before. So if you're over age 50, call now and schedule an appointment near you. For just $149, a savings of over 50%, you'll receive a package of 5 screenings that go beyond your doctor's annual checkup. Ultrasound technology looks inside your arteries for plaque that builds up as you age and increases your risk of stroke and heart disease. After all, 4 out of 5 people who have a stroke, their first symptom is a stroke. So call today and start with a free health assessment to understand your best plan of action.
So why didn't we do this earlier?
Lifeline Screening. The power of prevention. Call now to learn more.
Scary moments for some school kids yesterday in Massachusetts, all of it caught on camera. Take a look at this video. Their school bus, about 20 middle and high school students on board, slides out of control while trying to drive an icy road in Sutton.
You never want somebody's car to get hit, but at the same time, I think that car was kind of like a blessing in disguise because that's the only thing that stopped the bus.
Yeah, gravity and ice do their work. The bus slides backwards down the hill, takes out a mailbox, finally stops after crashing into a sort of semi-parked car that was there. We're happy to report nobody was hurt, and the bus was able to continue on its way to school.
What?
Just a little paint damage.
Wow. All right, new developments in the Russia investigation. Several reports out today are indicating that special counsel Robert Mueller will soon be asking to interview President Trump. Mueller is reportedly interested in questioning President Trump on the firings of both General Flynn and James Comey. But does this mean that the special counsel is closer to wrapping up his case? Here's White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders yesterday.
We want to see this come to a complete and full conclusion. I think we all know what everybody in this room would do if the president did that, and I don't think that's helpful to the process. The president wants to see this end, and he wants to see them finally come to the same conclusion that I think most everyone in America has, that there is nothing to this. They've spent the better part, most of you have spent the better part of a year looking, digging, obsessing.
Robert Driscoll has worked at the Department of Justice. He served as Deputy Assistant Attorney General. Welcome to the show, sir. There are a lot of people out there that think this means that they are narrowing in on the president. At the same time, we've seen other FBI investigations, including, you know, the one of Hillary Clinton that ended with an interview of her, and we all know they'd already decided at that point that they weren't going to press any sort of charges. I understand this is a special counsel, but what do you conclude from this?
I don't think I conclude anything about the guilt or innocence of the president. I think it's natural that Special Counsel Mueller would want to interview him, and I think it's natural that they'd have a discussion about the terms in which that would happen. I think it does show that he must be near the end, Special Counsel Mueller, of his investigation, because you typically reserve an interview of kind of the top of the pyramid, so to speak, until near the end of the investigation when you feel like you have all your other ducks in a row. So I think there'll be some type of interview, whether it's written questions or a combination of questions and live interview or not, and they'll work that out. And then I think that hopefully for all of us, this will be resolved in one way or another shortly after that.
Does it impact the findings or what they say or how they proceed, the fact that we're hearing about all these text messages and the secret society and the insurance plan, and 5 months of those texts are missing? And, you know, this investigation is supposed to be about the firing of James Comey,
Right.
and the specific 5 months of texts that have gone missing are from right after the election until June. James Comey was fired in May. You know, that certainly it speaks to the timeline we're looking at, what was going on in the investigation. Are these things interrelated, or are they not related at all?
Well, I mean, I think they could be tangentially related. I think particularly if there were some kind of conclusion reached about the guilt of people who were investigated by the very agents who had the text messages. But I think that, you know, I view it more as a side issue of those messages seem somewhat inappropriate, and I think the Inspector General report, which we're still waiting for, will have a lot to say about those text messages and the conduct of some of the agents involved and whether they crossed any ethical lines in making some of the comments they did. But, you know, at the end of the day, the facts of this are the facts. And if the facts turn out to exonerate the president and there's no collusion, then that stuff all becomes, I think, somewhat irrelevant.
Yeah.
I think for institutional reasons, the Inspector General and others will want to follow up. But I think that it doesn't necessarily need to slow down this process.
Let me ask you about some of the things that you just said, because if they're looking for collusion, even if it's there, it's not against the law. So what, you know, what comes of that?
Well, I was using collusion kind of colloquially. I think that probably what they'd be looking for is some kind of conspiracy, you know, cooperation with the Russians, which, again, we haven't seen anything, any real evidence of that, at least has been leaked. And who knows what Mueller has. He could have things we don't know about. But I think that they're really, it seems to me there's kind of an obstruction type of case that they're looking at now, more things since Trump was president.
Yeah, we don't have time to go through it, but it's more than just the comments on the part of the FBI agents. I mean, it does seem like there is action taken that's totally inappropriate and potentially against the law and deserves its own investigation, because Americans don't feel safe with FBI agents potentially taking the actions that are described there. Quick comment.
Well, certainly the notion of an insurance policy is concerning. It sure did look like some of those agents had at least prejudged where they wanted the investigation to come out, and you'd want to see if that tainted any of the evidence they collected or if that affects it.
Robert Driscoll, thank you.
Thank you.
Another deadly school shooting, and right now, no word on a motive. What we're learning about the teenage suspect and the victims he targeted.
What makes these simple dishes the best simple dishes ever? Great tasting, heart healthy California walnuts. So simple, so good. Get the recipes at walnuts.org.
Experience Lexus Safety System Plus Standard in the 2018 Lexus ES and ES Hybrid.
Lease the 2018 ES350 for $339 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
David, you have one of the worst cavities I have ever seen. Okay, have a good day.
Aren't you gonna fix it?
Well, I'm not a dentist. I'm a dental monitor. I just tell you when you have a bad cavity.
That's bad. Lunch?
Oh, yes.
Where are you going?
Why monitor a problem if you don't fix it? That's why free credit monitoring isn't enough to protect you. At LifeLock, we not only alert you to identity threats. If you have a problem, we'll work to fix it with our $1 Million protection package. LifeLock. Try 30 days free using promo code DENTIST.
Free speech under fire? From college craziness to social media. Inside the left's new attacks on our First Amendment. Tucker Gets Insight tonight.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
What if you could lose fat in just a few hours?
I don't know what to say. I'm just in shock.
You can with Sono Bello.
It seems no matter how much you work out or diet, there are parts of your body that just don't seem to change.
I went to the gym, I worked out at home, I bought videos.
No matter what I did, that bulge was still there.
With its advanced micro-laser technology,
Sono Bello gently removes that targeted fat and shapes your body for life-changing results.
As America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist, Sono Bello has performed over 100,000 personalized body and facial procedures, helping tens of thousands of people change their
lives.
After 5 years trying to get rid of that roll of fat, Sono Bello did it in one day.
Call for your free no-obligation consultation today and get $250 off your Sono Bello body.
Payment plans are available.
Call 888-317-1425 or go to sonobello.com.
Duncan just protected his family with a $500,000 life insurance policy. How much do you think it cost him? $100 a month? $75? $50? Actually, Duncan got his $500,000 for under $28 a month, less than $1 a day. His secret? SelectQuote. In just minutes, a SelectQuote agent will comparison shop nearly a dozen highly rated life insurance companies and give you a choice of your 5 best rates. Duncan's wife, Cassie, got a $750,000 policy for under $22 a month. Give your family the security it needs at a price you can afford. Since 1985, SelectQuote has saved over 1 million families millions of dollars on life insurance. Call now, 800-304-5039, or visit SelectQuote.com. Discover what over 1 million families know now. We shop, you save.
Coming up on Outnumbered atop the hour, new reports that special counsel Robert Mueller plans to focus his interview of the President Trump on the firings of FBI Director James Comey and former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. What does it say about the direction of the Russia investigation? Ramping up or winding down?
And Republican lawmakers demanding answers over those 5 months of missing text messages between 2 FBI officials. And what a top Republican senator says some newly obtained text messages tell us about their anti-Trump bias.
All that plus our guy in the middle outnumbered. There he is. Hump Day Sizzle. We'll see you at noon.
A Fox News alert, we take you into the courtroom in Lansing, Michigan, Judge Rosemary Aquilina's courtroom, where the prosecutor, Angela Pavlidis, is making her case for a stiff sentence for for Dr. Larry Nassar, the former USA teen gymnastics doctor. He is about to be sentenced for molesting the young athletes who were in his care. 54 years old, he has pleaded guilty to 7 counts of criminal sexual conduct, 25 to 40 years in prison. The possible sentence, we will bring it to you when that sentence is handed down.
2 students killed and 16 others injured by gunfire in a Kentucky school shooting. Police say the 15-year-old suspect accused of opening fire on his classmates yesterday is now in custody, but so far there is no word on a possible motive. Mike Tobin is live in Benton, Kentucky. Mike.
And there was chaos out here, students running in every direction out of all of the doors of the school into nearby businesses trying to escape this hail of bullets. And we now have an image of the 15-year-old Bailey Holt, who was killed here on campus. A state trooper who was one of the first to come up on her, he realized she was wearing roughly the same clothing as his daughter, who attends school here.
One of our first troopers to arrive on the scene saw the young lady that died there on the scene and thought it was his daughter, because she had been dropped off at the school this morning as well. Same clothing description, same description. And he had to go over to convince himself that that was not his daughter.
Police have apprehended a 15-year-old fellow student they say is the gunman. His identity has not been released, however. The county prosecutor says he will likely be tried as an adult with murder and attempted murder. The weapon was a handgun. Motive is unknown. 911 and dispatcher communication reflect the moments after the shots rang out.
We've got most of the students out, I believe, but their kids just went everywhere.
We found the weapon. It is secure.
I've got another male. He's been grazed. I don't believe there was any penetration, but I definitely need a unit or an ambulance over here.
The shooter in custody, 110 multiple injuries.
15-year-old Preston Cope received lethal wounds here on campus. He later died at Vanderbilt Hospital. The total of students killed is 2. 20 were injured. 16 were wounded from gunfire. Doctors say the survivors look like they will pull through. Back to you in New York.
Mike Tobin, thank you.
Thousands of texts between 2 FBI officials simply disappear. Now lawmakers are demanding answers as GOP critics accuse the FBI of political bias.
You take care of business. Let Office Depot Office Max take care of you. This week at Office Depot Office Max, save big on tax software for your business. Plus, let us help you manage your business finances at OfficeDepot.com/BizBox.
Do you suffer aches and pains from poor circulation or tired, aching legs stopping you from enjoying life? You don't have to suffer any longer. Relieve your aches and pains drug-free with Revitive Medic Circulation Booster, a new FDA-cleared medical device that significantly improves circulation in your legs and feet. Just one relaxing session a day, and you'll feel back in control of your life. Medical conditions, age, or inactivity can cause poor circulation. The result? Aches and pains that ruin your everyday life. Only Revitive Medic's patented and clinically tested electrical muscle stimulation gets your feet and lower leg muscles pumping, vital to actively improve circulation, relieve aches and pains, and strengthen leg muscles.
I have tried everything to get rid of my pain, and nothing has worked like Revitive. And even better, it's not a drug.
My granddaughter asked me to dance with her. Well, I can't turn down my granddaughter, right? So I danced 2 long dances with her, and I would never have been able to do that without Revitive.
It makes a big difference. Quality of life. It's nice to have that filling back and have the control back.
Revitive Medic is easy to use. Just place your feet on the foot pads and increase the intensity using the remote control. In minutes, you'll be enjoying relief as Revitive takes your aches and pains away. Discover why 4 out of 5 people who try Revitive keep it, because it works. Try risk-free with our 60-day money-back guarantee and free shipping. If you're not satisfied, return it for a full refund. Order today in this warm, soft fleece blanket with sleeves. A $45 value is yours to keep free just for trying Revitive. Call 1-800-472-4104 or go to tryrevitive.com. That's 1-800-472-4104. Call now.
You don't have to live with pain. You just have to take the leap and try Revitive.
Let's get started. Show of hands. Who wants customizable options chains? Ones that make it fast and easy to analyze and take action. How about some of the lowest options fees? Are you raising your hand? Good. And it's time for Power E-Trade, the platform price and service that gives you the edge you need. All right, one quick game of rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3, go. E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
Sunday, the Paula Jones case hits the courtroom, a major shakeup in the investigation, and the shutdown that led to the first infamous White House encounter. Sunday, it all kicks off with an episode 1 encore. Then watch episode 2, A Woman Named Paula.
Well, Budweiser is no longer a top choice among beer lovers. King of beers. Yes, it has fallen to 4th place as more people switch to light beers, wine, and spirits. Bud Light, now the nation's #1 beer, followed by Coors Light and Miller Lite. And Budweiser is 4th.
There you go. I guess this is very appropriate heading into the Super Bowl. We're sort of taking count of what it is that we all want to drink in the Super Bowl, or is it just lunch today? Everybody's deciding what they want to have. It could be that too. No?
It could be. All right, well, you go get a beverage of whatever you like, and thank you for joining us.
Outnumbered starts right now.
Fox News alert on special counsel Robert Mueller, reportedly planning to try to get some answers directly from the president. Reports say he wants to know more about the firings of former FBI Director James Comey and former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. The latest development suggesting obstruction is a focus, a big focus. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Republican strategist and Fox News contributor Lisa Booth. Anchor of the Intelligence Report on Fox Business, Trish Regan. Democratic strategist and Fox News contributor Jessica Tarlov. And joining us, Outnumbered, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. We say he's outnumbered, but he usually never feels that way.
I don't feel that way. It's a very comfortable seat. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. We have a lot to get to. Shall we roll?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Let's get to the news. Special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation is reportedly turning now to the president himself. Reports say Mueller wants to ask the president about the firings of the former FBI director and former national security advisor. Trump's legal team is reportedly going to propose a 2-pronged approach to the interview. They want to answer some questions in writing, others face to face. Meanwhile, we are learning James Comey was questioned by Mueller's team about his conversations with the president and memos he kept. Politico is now reporting that the House Judiciary Committee wants Comey to come back to testify again to straighten out what they say are inconsistencies. NBC News is reporting Mueller also questioned CIA Director Mike Pompeo, Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats, and the Director of the National Security Agency Mike Rogers. Meanwhile, the president was asked if he's concerned at all about what Attorney General Jeff Sessions told the special counsel. Watch.
No, I'm not at all concerned. Did you talk to him about it? No, I didn't, but I'm not at all concerned.
Not at all concerned. Judge?
Well, the president has been saying since day one that he knows of no inappropriate communication. The phrase we're using is collusion or agreements between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. So he's being consistent in that respect. Let me give a little background here. The special counsel cannot compel you to an interview. He can ask you for an interview and you can say yes or no. If you say no, he can compel you, even the president, and many presidents have done this, to testify against your will before a grand jury. In front of the grand jury, you can refuse to answer by invoking the Fifth Amendment. Now, there will be political fallout to that, but no legal fallout. Should the president submit to this interview before Bob Mueller? The standard answer, and I agree with it, is no, never, not ever, because Bob Mueller and his investigators know far more about the case, even if there's no case, than Donald Trump could. And if you have a witness here, the president, who doesn't always use an economy of words, Bob Mueller, and I'm trying to be diplomatic here, Bob Mueller, thank you, Bob Mueller and his interrogators know how to make the most of that. They did this to General Flynn when he lied. They did this to George Papadopoulos when they lied. So President Trump, my advice would be, don't put yourself in that situation. Is it too late to
say no, we're not going to sit down with the special counsel?
It might be too late to say no politically, because he has said several times, 100%, I'm going to testify, but it is not too late legally. And this stuff about written questions and answers is a recipe for disaster.
Why is that?
Because you will give the interrogators a roadmap with which to interrogate you, and that roadmap is your written answers to their written questions.
But it'll be lawyerized. Isn't that the best kind of roadmap? I mean, you're a judge.
If the lawyers write the answers, Donald Trump will have sworn that he wrote them. So then we get into, well, who wrote this? You said you wrote it. What did you mean by this? Here's the rule of thumb. You don't talk to a guy that owns a grand jury. And prosecutors own grand juries. They know how to get
I just want to back up, because I have a question for the judge. So in other words, if he says, look, I'm not going to do this written testimony, and I'm not going to engage in this, did you say, however, that they can actually force him via a grand jury to do so?
Well, the interrogation before Bob Mueller is not in front of a grand jury. It's the president's lawyers. It's Mueller and his team of FBI investigators and prosecutors. It will be recorded. It's not under oath. Well, if you lie there, the penalty is the same as if you had lied under oath. So if he refuses that, they can hit him with a subpoena. Then the testimony will be in front of a grand jury where your lawyers won't be there. It's in secret, but it's before a grand jury.
And so is that why you say yes to this rather than letting it get to that point? I'm sorry, Lisa.
Some people would say yes to this and try and talk them out of bringing you before a grand jury. You can't do that. If they want to harm you, they know how to do it. The best thing you could do is steer clear of them.
Well, and Judge, the emphasis here is that if Mueller wants to talk to President Trump about the firing of Comey, that there are concerns potentially of obstruction of justice, doesn't President Trump, as the President of the United States, have the legal authority to have fired James Comey as FBI director?
There's a great
which Hillary Clinton would have likely done herself if she had won?
There's a great body of authority that says the president is the chief law enforcement officer of the land. He decides who gets hired in the Justice Department, who gets fired, who gets prosecuted, and who doesn't, and he can't be second-guessed.
Is this a fruitless exercise, then, by Robert Mueller?
There's legal authority. There's also legal authority that says if the president makes a decision for a corrupt purpose, like protecting Jared Kushner or protecting himself, then the president has committed obstruction. So there's law on both sides of that.
Or Mike Flynn, which is what he told
Correct.
Lester Holt was
Correct.
the reason, where he said, he's a nice guy, could you back off of this? And that's where all the flares went
Let's
up.
say the president said to Jim Comey, lay off of Mike Flynn because terrorism is a problem, political corruption is a problem, bank robberies are a problem. You guys have more important things to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. But if he says lay off of Mike Flynn
Because of Russia.
because I'm worried about what Mike might say about me, the latter would be for a corrupt purpose. The former would be well within his authority.
But do you think the conversation that Flynn got in trouble for having with the Russian ambassador, in another context, in another election where Russia wasn't the focus, would that conversation have raised any flags?
I believe the FBI knowingly and intentionally trapped General Flynn because they knew from the transcripts of his conversations with Ambassador Kislyak, which he should have known they had. General Flynn used to run all the spies in the Army when he was the head of the DEA. They knew immediately that he had lied.
Well, sometimes.
So what did they go in there for?
Sometimes it's harder to watch your own backside than watch somebody else's.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the FBI, and we can't get lost on the timing of all of this. This is at a time when the FBI is really struggling, and you've got a special counsel looking into, the situation with the president and his former campaign. I want to hear about this talk now that a former member of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, might have been asked for some loyalty. Can we hear about this? Wait. No. Okay. We do have a picture of the president with him, and I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Full disclosure. The president has been a friend of mine for 30 years, and I've had numerous engagements with him on the telephone and in person, and I know that personality. And he may very well say, I know you voted for me, didn't you? That's just the way he is. He's not asking for loyalty. He's just, that's the way he expresses himself.
Well, when we have more time, I want to circle back and just understand why that's even making news. But right now, here is what is breaking news. What you see there in the center of your screen is a doctor, a man who was trusted with young athletes, premier elite athletes, gymnasts, and the like. Dr. Larry Nassar was supposed to be somebody who would help them through their injuries, and now he's in court. This is his sentencing hearing. It was supposed to take 4 days with about 88 victim impact statements. It has swelled into 7 days now with some 159 women, young women coming forward, potentially with impact statements. Let's watch and listen a little bit to this.
Absolutely nothing. Please respect their job. It's a difficult one. I know I've been in their shoes, and the Sixth Amendment does guarantee each defendant the right to counsel. It doesn't matter what the defendant has done, but they have the right to counsel. I also want to say, that being said, we also have the First Amendment. So you are all free to have your own opinions. And it's always a balancing act between the First Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, all of the due process and other amendments to the Constitution. They are all valuable in their own way. And that's why we have an organized and just society. And that's why we are here today, because this defendant has been brought to justice. Do not make it worse, please. Before I get to sentencing, I want to talk about a couple of things. And first, I've said what I need to say to the victims. I have a little bit more to say. You are no longer victims. You are survivors. You're very strong, and I've addressed you individually. Before I say anything further, I don't know if you all know this, and I know that the world is watching. I know this because I'm on the bench every day, and this isn't the only heinous crime that appears in this court. The National Crime Victimization Survey that's done by the Justice Department annually reports that 310 out of every 1,000 assaults are reported to police, which means that 2 out of 3 go unreported. The voices of the survivors have asked everyone, report. Keep your voice up. Rachel's voice hopefully will raise these numbers of reports in all of your voices. But that statistic does not include children 12 and under. 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused by their 18th birthday. 1 in 7 girls, 1 in 25 boys by their 18th birthday. That means that in the United States, I'm not talking about any other country, but in the United States, 400,000 babies born in the U.S. will become victims of child sexual abuse. It stops now. Speak out like these survivors. Become part of the army. I do one case at a time. And I really so very much appreciate all of your thank yous. I've read some of the Twitters and Facebooks and all of what's going on in the media. I'm not special. I'm doing my job. If you come into my courtroom any Wednesday and watch sentencing, I give everybody a voice. I give defendants a voice, their families when they're here. I give victims a voice. I try to treat everybody like family because that's the justice system that I was raised to believe in. I came to this country stateless. I'm naturalized. My father's Maltese, my mother's German, and I was raised on old country values. And my grandmother always told me, and my parents always told me, my grandfather too, that America is the greatest country. I believe that. That's why I served in the military. That's why I've always done community service. I'm not really well liked because I speak out. I don't have many friends because I speak out. If you ask me a question, you better be ready for the answer. I speak out because I want change, because I don't believe in hiding the truth, and I'm not saying I'm always right, but I try. I also don't believe that one size fits all when it comes to sentencing. Another reason I listen. I know that there are some judges for every crime that give the same punishment. I don't think that's justice. I believe in individualized sentencing. I follow the Constitution, and I believe our system works. I also believe these survivors. Now, there's case law about how I can consider what I can consider. And first and foremost, my sentence reflects the 7 in regard to who defendant pled to. But the remainder of you, the 161 others, add to the credibility of those 7. So technically, I'm considering everything. Everyone. Because your crime, all of your crimes, the depth of them have cut into the core of this community and many communities and all of the families and people we don't even know. And sir, the media has asked me to release your letter. I'm not going to do that. Counsel may object, the media may object, but there is some information in here that troubles me in regard to the victims. And I don't want them re-victimized by the words that you have in here. But I do want to read some more of your letter. And the reason I want to do that is because I've considered it in sentencing as an extension of your apology and whether I believe it or not. So I want you to hear your words. I've already read some, and I'm not reading every line. Well, let me begin. The federal judge went ballistic at sentencing since I pled guilty to the state cases and spent 10% on the federal case and 90% on the state cases and civil suits. She gave me 60 years instead of 5 to 20 years, in parentheses, 3 consecutive 20-year sentences. I pleaded guilty to possession of porn from 9/2004 to 12/2004, 4 months. The prosecutor even admitted that I never belonged to any porn sites, any chat rooms, was not on the dark web, and also they could not prove I viewed it. It was all deleted, of course. I shared my electronics, and I could not prove that. So for 4 months of porn possession from 2004, I was sentenced to 60 years. Not proper, appropriate, fair. Going down a few lines. What I did in the state cases was medical, not sexual. But because of the porn, I lost all support, thus another reason for the state guilty plea. Let me move down further. So I tried to avoid a trial to save the stress to this community, my family, the victims. Yet look what is happening. It is wrong. Let me move down further. I was a good doctor because my treatments worked, and those patients that are now speaking out were the same ones that praised and came back over and over and referred family and friends to see me. The media convinced them that everything I did was wrong and bad. They feel I broke their trust. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. It is just a complete nightmare. The stories that are being fabricated to sensationalize this, then the AG would only accept my plea if I said what I did was not medical and was for my own pleasure. They forced me to say that, or they were going to trial and not accepting the plea. I wanted to plead no contest, but the AG refused that. I was so manipulated by the AG and now Aquilina, and all I wanted was to minimize stress to everyone, like I wrote earlier. Going down a little bit further. In addition, with the federal case, my medical treatments with the Olympic/national team gymnastics were discussed as part of the plea. The FBI investigated them in 2015 and found nothing substantial because it was medical. Now they are seeking the media attention and financial reward. Would you like to withdraw your plea?
No, Your Honor.
Because you are guilty, aren't you? Are you guilty, sir?
I said my plea, exactly.
The new sign language has become treatment. These quotes, these air quotes, I will never see them again without thinking of you and your despicable acts. I don't care how they're used, I will always think of quotes and the word treatment. It was not treatment, what you did. It was not medical. There is no medical evidence that was ever brought. When this case first came to me, and I've told you this, and I apologize to the Olympians and athletes, but I have 5 children, 2 dogs. My parents live with me. I work 4 jobs. I don't have much time for television. I don't watch sports. Although last year I was a soccer coach, much to the laughter of my family. I didn't know anything about you, or your name, or anything that was going on. And so when I kept saying, we're going to trial, here's the date, and everyone wanted more time, I said, no, here's the cutoff. And then the cases were merged and we delayed it. And I still thought, well, maybe there's a defense of medical treatment. And why did I think that? Because it's my job to be fair and impartial, but also because my 2 brothers and my father are very well known and respected doctors. Real doctors with real treatments and research, dedicated to healing. I haven't considered that in this case, but I have heard from your survivors now that they trust doctors like I trust the doctors in my family and the doctors I go to. But I still thought, well, there's a defense of medical treatment, and there are changes in the medical community every day for the betterment. So up until the time you pled, I believed that maybe there was a defense here, despite the felony information. I was ready for trial. Your counsel was ready for trial. The Attorney General's office was ready for trial. You, sir, decided to plead because there was no medical treatment. You did this for your pleasure and your control. This letter, which comes 2 months after your plea, tells me that you have not yet owned what you did, that you still think that somehow you are right, that you are a doctor, that you're entitled, that you don't have to listen, and that you did treatment. I wouldn't send my dogs to you, sir. There's no treatment here. You finally told the truth. Inaction is an action. Silence is indifference. Justice requires action and a voice, and that is what has happened here in this court. 168 buckets of water were placed on your so-called match that got out of control. I also, like law enforcement, or like the Attorney General, want to thank law enforcement for their investigation, but I also want to be the voice on behalf of the survivors who asks law enforcement to continue their fine work and to also include the federal government. There has to be a massive investigation as to why there was inaction, why there was silence. Justice requires more than what I can do on this bench. I wanted to also applaud all of the counsel in the Attorney General's office. I want to also applaud defense counsel. You all have done fine work. You've made me proud of our legal system. We all work together for the betterment of our community, and that is law enforcement, prosecutors, defense counsel, investigators. There are countless people. It's the only way our system works. We need this balance. So all of you, when I look at myself as Lady Justice, my arms are like this. They are balanced. Prosecution, defense, they're balanced. It only starts to tip after there's a plea and after I take into consideration everything that's happened. So I want everyone to understand I've also done my homework. I always do. People versus Wacholowski. I'm sure I slaughtered the name. I apologize, but it is spelled W-A-C-L-A-W-S-K-I. 286 Mishak 634. It's a 2009 case. And in it, and I want you to clearly understand, it says, plainly, the law does not limit victims' impact statements to direct victims. It doesn't say, and I have found nowhere that limits me from having you hear all of your victims. As I said before, when counsel came to me and said, we're not going to go to trial, despite our court having already sent out 200 of the 800 juror requests. And they told me their plea, and would I consider it in lieu of trial? There was the agreement between us because I always, and they know it, they are familiar with me, let people speak. And I wanted all victims, and we had a discussion about which victims. And of course there was an objection to one of them. I let it come in anyway. That was part of the plea that you entered into to allow the victim impact statements. Because after that discussion, I know your lawyers, as good as they are, sat down with you and said, the judge is going to allow this. And when it comes down to it, I know it also because this was signed by the Attorney General, by defendant, and by defendant's counsel on November 22nd, 2017. Aside from the letter that you wrote a couple of months after your plea, which tells me you still don't get it, there's something I don't understand and I want to make clear. Sir, you knew you had a problem. That is clear to me. You knew you had a problem from a very young age, even before you were a doctor. You could have taken yourself away from temptation, and you did not. But worse yet, There isn't a survivor who hasn't come in here and said how world-renowned you were. I trust what they say. You could have gone anywhere in the world to be treated. You could have gone to any resort, any doctor, place where you could get treatment. In Europe, they have all sorts of hidden places for things like this. No one had to know, and you could have found some treatment, some help, taken some medicine. You would have done that if you had cancer. I know you would have. You're about self-preservation. But you decided to not address what's inside you that causes this control urge, that causes you to be a sexual predator. So your urges escalated, and based on the numbers that we all know go unreported, I can't even guess how many vulnerable children and families you actually assaulted. Your decision to assault was precise, calculated, manipulative, devious, despicable. I don't have to add words because your survivors have said all of that. I don't want to repeat it. You can't give them back their innocence, their youth. You can't give a father back his life, or one of your victims her life when she took it. You can't return the daughter to the mother, the father to the daughter. You played on everyone's vulnerability. I'm not vulnerable. Not to you, not to other criminals at that podium. I swore to uphold the Constitution and the law, and I am well trained. I know exactly what to do. And at this time, I'm going to do it. And I want you to know, as much as it was my honor and privilege to hear the sister survivors, it is my honor and privilege to sentence you. Because, sir, you do not deserve to walk outside of a prison ever again. You have done nothing to control those urges, and anywhere you walk, destruction will occur to those most vulnerable. Now, I am honoring the agreement. I'm also honoring what's been requested of me. And I want you to know, I'm not good at math. I have a cheat sheet. I'm only a lawyer. I know that you have a lot of education in physics and math, but I have a cheat sheet. It is my privilege on count 1, 2, 5, 8, 10, and 18. And 24. To sentence you to 40 years. And when I look at my cheat sheet, 40 years, just so you know and you can count it off your calendar, is 480 months. The tail end, because I need to send a message to the parole board in the event somehow God is gracious, and I know He is. And you survived the 60 years in federal court first, and then you started my 40 years? You've gone off the page here as to what I'm doing. My page only goes to 100 years. Sir, I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months. I just signed your death warrant. I need everyone to be quiet. I still have contempt powers. I told you I'm not nice. I find that you don't get it, that you're a danger. You remain a danger. I'm a judge who believes in life and rehabilitation when rehabilitation is possible. I have many defendants come back here and show me the great things they've done in their lives after probation, after parole. I don't find that's possible with you. So, you will receive jail credit on counts 1, 2, 5, 8, 10, and 18 of 369 days. On count 24, you will have 370 days jail credit. If you are ever out, which is doubtful, you would be required to register with the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration Act, complying with all of the requirements of that act, in addition to global position monitoring system. You would wear a GPS. You will pay restitution in the amount to be determined based on whatever amounts are submitted, and your attorneys can ask me for a restitution hearing so that I can determine what a reasonable amount is for the victims. I am leaving restitution open as long as those victims have issues that can be medically documented. You will comply with DNA testing and pay a $60 fee for that. I suspect that was already done, but you owe $60 back to the county for that, or law enforcement, whoever will put it in the right pocket. You must submit to HIV testing and complete counseling associated with HIV and AIDS. You must waive confidentiality and allow test results and medical information obtained from this test to be released to the court. You will pay $476 in state costs. You will pay a crime victims assessment in the amount of $130. Does counsel wish to address court costs and fines? I don't know his financial state.
Judge, he doesn't have any money to pay in court costs and fines. If the court wants to impose it, the court can impose it.
I'm not imposing any court costs and fines, and here's the reason. I don't know what he has or what he'll get in the future. The victims deserve the money. The county will survive one way or another. I'm also going to make recommendations to the Michigan Department of Corrections for mental health treatment. I understand he has some medical conditions and he should be allowed to take medicine for that. He should have individual and group counseling, treatment for sexual predators, whatever they allow. I'm also going to send a message. I'm not sure, but I believe I read an article, sir, that you were treating people in prison that don't have a license, don't commit any more crimes. I know you don't have any more lives to give, but you can't be treating people. You're not a doctor. So I'm not sure how that's happening, but I wanted to send that message. You have 21 days to appeal, 10 days to request court-appointed counsel. Do you acknowledge receipt of your appellate rights?
Your Honor, I've got the notice of right to appeal, and I'm providing it to my client now.
Do you acknowledge it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Well, let me just say to the media, again, I'm just doing my job. I know you all want to talk to me. My secretary has informed me that I have a growing stack of requests from print media from television, from magazines, from around the world, literally. This story is not about me. It never was about me. I hope I've opened some doors, but you see, I'm a little stupid because I thought everybody did what I did. And if they didn't, maybe they ought to, but I do this and have been doing it. And if you don't believe me, the keeper of my words is right by my side, and lawyers who are hearing this are shaking their heads saying, yep, I've waited too long as she lets everybody talk. Sometimes people get upset. I don't care, I get paid the same. So as to the media who want to talk with me, I'm not going to be making any statements. I know that my office, and I may have even, I don't know, it's been a long couple of weeks, conveyed that after this is over, it's just not my story. After the appellate period runs, with victims by my side to tell their stories, I might answer some more questions than what I said on the record. I don't know what more I could possibly say. But I'm not going to talk with any media person until after the appeal period, and even then, if you talk to me about this case, I will have a survivor with me because it is their story. So I wanted everybody to hear that from me. I respect all of the media outlets. You have done just a fabulous job here. There hasn't been any commotion or upset by this, and I do believe in the First Amendment, so I thank you all for being here because it's an important story for the survivors. As to today, I know that there are a lot of survivors, family members, husbands, friends, a lot of people in the courtroom. You have voices. I'm going to leave the courtroom. Defendant will leave the courtroom. The attorneys may stay. Victims, family members, survivors, you may stay in the courtroom and talk with media. You can have your own press conference right here. Spur of the moment sometimes works out the best, doesn't it? Again, I won't make a statement until after the appeal period. And again, if there's any survivor then who, at that point, if somebody wants to talk to me, I'm sure you'll be moved on to another story, but if you're not, please give your names to the victim's advocate so that I can contact you, because please, media, do not contact me on this story without a survivor. It's their story. I thank everybody in this case. Sir, I hope somewhere you have heard everybody's words, and it really does resonate with you. Anything else for the record?
Nothing on behalf of people inside.
Nothing but half.
All right. So the media is asked to stay here with all those lovely people who may want to speak with you. Thank you. That's all for the record.
All right.
And there, Circuit Court Judge Rosemarie Aquilina giving the maximum sentence to the USA gymnastics doctor who sexually molested upwards of 150 young women and girls. He, there in the courtroom, hearing the sentencing of 40 to 175 years in prison. The judge read about a few days of jail time already served, but that's a huge sentence on top of a federal sentencing that he's already gotten in this case of 60 years behind bars. Judge Aquilina saying that this was an opportunity for these young women and young girls, some of them under the age of 13, to come forth and tell their stories, and that she wanted to give them a platform to do that. She explained in detail, and we've been watching this for 30 minutes or so, why she came to this sentencing. And some of those impact statements, she said she wanted to allow, but the other thing that really aided her in her sentencing guidelines as she went forth to sentence Dr. Larry Nassar, was a letter that he wrote recently. And she said she wasn't going to release it, but she hit some highlights in that letter. And about his victims, he said, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," about some of those women who had come forth to talk about the sexual things that he did, that he